And good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Uncork Radio. I'm Glenn Griffin. Orioles continue to not really put together win streaks. Something that I think that we used to do that around these parts. I feel like that was a thing that occurred. And I guess they're no longer interested in participating in such activities. Such is life. Lose 4-3 last night. Coming up on the program today, perhaps you've heard of Corbin Burnes. He was jawing a little bit last night. Might have to bring that up during the course of the conversation. Corbin Burnes is going to join us. He's doing a really neat thing on, I guess it's Labor Day. He and his wife, Brooke, hosting Uncork for a Cause, benefiting the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Maryland. Tell us a little bit more about that, his season in Baltimore, and whether he was purposely trying to get the boys fired up by getting after it with the home plate umpire last night. We'll see.
I just figured he was trying to invite the umpire to
Uncork for a Cause. Yeah, that was something that I thought about asking. That was something that I thought might be the case. So we'll do that. Also in a few minutes, Jonathan Mayo, MLB Pipeline, MLB Network, MLB.com. He'll chat with us about their new prospects rankings as well. That's on the way here on this Tuesday edition of GCR. Unfortunately, what's not on the way is a man of the match, but if it were, it would, of course, be brought to you by...
Experience the thrill of the Mars, Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring local food, shopping, and fun for all. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront, vibrant small towns, and family entertainment. Tickets on sale now at maryland5star.us.
Alas, not the case last night as the Orioles lose 4-3. Look, the big let's go big picture, small picture. We'll start big picture. Big picture would be, how do we talk about Trevor Rogers? And I said going into last night that I thought that he was under the microscope. And maybe what I should have said is I think he should be under the microscope. And I think he's under the microscope for us. I don't know that I am confident that he's under the microscope for them. I think, unfortunately, as much as it's still too easy for them to say, hey, it's 4 starts. We aren't going to overreact to 4 starts. That's still a relatively small sample size. The problem that we have is that for us, we don't think it should be viewed as 4 starts. We don't think that you should throw away what he had done in Miami and just say that you're only measuring what had happened in Baltimore. I remember, if you go back to the day of the trade, there was this weird pushback from a certain number of Orioles fans or people that think that they know things, where they were like, I don't understand why you guys are getting so worked up about Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. And as I said, I wasn't worked up about that at all. I think every single one of us assumed that Connor Norby was being dealt at the deadline. And Kyle Stowers, I don't like using the term throwaway, but I just don't believe that the Orioles thought that Kyle Stowers was an impact major leaguer. The point then was, the problem isn't the price, the problem is the return. That there's just not telling me that Trevor Rogers has another year of control doesn't help anything. I don't want another year of control of Trevor Rogers unless he's dramatically better. And that's always this nebulous argument, well, get him in here and they could fix him. And I have bought into it at times. With this group, there have been moments where I've been like, man, maybe they really do have something going on. And then I look at it big picture and I say, is it really like a special sauce?
And even if they did, they have 6 weeks here? I mean, I guess 8 weeks when they...
Yeah, can they do it in season is the question.
especially not in one day.
Like, I don't know what to make of what's happened with Albert Suarez, right? I don't know how to – is it the Orioles? Because then are the Orioles also responsible for the part where it looked like he couldn't pitch in the major leagues? I don't know if the Orioles definitively have a special sauce when it comes to pitchers. We have wanted to believe that at times. Just get him in their lab, and like we want that to be the case. But I don't know if that's the case. And Trevor Rogers, with his velocity coming down, just did not interest me. Ironically, the bar for Trevor Rogers was, can you be the fifth starter? Can you clear Albert Suarez? Humorously, Albert Suarez has obviously completely flipped that script. But now, it's can you even be the fifth starter when there's no Albert Suarez? Can you clear the bar of the fifth starter when there isn't a fifth starter? We'll get into the conversation about Cade Povich. I never understood. This isn't hindsight. This isn't second guessing. This one was puzzling from the moment it happened. It made no sense. You could make sense of Eloy Jimenez. The Zach Eflin one was a no-brainer. Even though we didn't know he was going to be this good, it was a no-brainer. It was an obvious move to make, and he's been that much better. The Dominguez one, I was okay with it. I was fine with the Dominguez move, and we'll talk about last night in a second. But for the most part, he has certainly been. It's been a move that was warranted. The Pache thing obviously made zero sense. None. It's the Orioles knew when they acquired Christian Pache to 2 days later say, see ya. That part of it, befuddling. The Rogers one never made a lick of sense. The best sense you could make is maybe he could be a fifth guy in the rotation, an innings eater, and he's not even capable of clearing that bar right now. It was weird. Like Jim Palmer after the game last night was like trying to give him a pass. Well, he pitched well enough to win. No, he didn't. Like, who are you, Jim Palmer? This isn't the Jim Palmer I know. The Jim Palmer I know would want to have him arrested for not going 5 innings. 8 base runners and 4 2/3. That's good enough to win? In what world?
When the Orioles are hitting, scoring more than 3 runs maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say he stunk, but he could have won anyway if the offense was great, sure. But you have to start with he stunk. Trevor Rogers was no good last night. There's no, he had a nice inning or so in there.
He had 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, okay. That's something.
Which you better of with that strike zone.
Yeah, my God. He put 8 guys on base in 4 2/3 innings. What do you want me to do with that? Pretend like there was bad luck? Pretend like it was a bummer of a night? That should have been his? No. He was bad, and he's been awful since he arrived here. His best start was a start where he put 9 guys on base in 5 innings. There's just no getting around it. Trevor Rogers has been terrible. Do I think the Orioles are ready to pull the trigger? I'd be surprised. I think it's not enough time for them to commit to something else. They think it's possible they revisit a 6-man rotation before they would make that move. The issue being you would need an injury in order to get Cade Povich back up. And I don't know that you can make plans based around that. So they don't have an off day this week, so it would be ideal for them to have if you're going to try this, it would be ideal to be able to do a 6-man and have Cade Povich. I guess that would be Friday that they would need him.
Friday or Saturday. I guess, yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, you could keep you could keep somebody on normal rest if you wanted, but you can't stretch it out. You can't get it out to 10 days. So I don't know. I don't know if somebody's got something nagging that they can use as a. They're just hoping for luck. I would think that
Kimbrel.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I don't know that Trevor Rogers helps you in your bullpen either. Is the problem here? This is the real issue.
Yeah.
The real issue is telling me that Trevor Rogers had another year of control is not. I don't want Trevor Rogers. What am I supposed to do with that? He's got another year of control. Great. Cool. Would someone else be interested in that? He's just not good. Whenever somebody tells me about, it's valuable because he has control. That control is only valuable if the player is valuable. It's like having another year of control of Felix Pie. Great.
He's a baseball player.
Yeah, legally speaking.
Didn't he hit for the cycle?
He played. He did.
Yeah.
You're right about that. He once hit for the
Not
cycle.
not all baseball players do that.
I do think that Trevor Rogers has options. That's the part that I've been trying to understand, how this works. If you trade a player, he still has those options, correct?
I mean, I don't know the answer. I wouldn't. I don't know why. He would lose all of his options.
I don't know why. I can't imagine. I feel like that we have found out weird things about this over the years. When I go to Roster Resources, Trevor Rogers.
They optioned Norby right away, so
yeah, he's got to have options.
Yeah.
Trevor Rogers would appear to have options. So, straight shoot, I would not need another start personally. But again, the issue being, I don't have the ability to call Povich back up. That really is the problem right now. Is I need an injury to get Povich back up, and until I can get Povich back up, I can't send Trevor Rogers down because you arguably need 6 starters if you're trying to do the thing that you were talking about last week with rest. You definitely need 5 starters, definitively, and you don't have a long man anymore in the rotation that you can have make a spot start. So given how Keaton Aiken pitched over 2 innings last night, maybe you push your luck and say, can you give us 4? So I don't know what the ultimate plan ends up being with Rogers, but if that's legitimate that he has 3 options, for me, it's as soon as I can get Cade. The first opportunity I have to get Cade Povich back, Trevor Rogers goes back. There is just no world where I continue this exercise because I traded for him. It's an egg on your face type of thing. It's, boy, this looks bad, but it looks worse? Sending a guy out every 5th day that's not helping. It's just, he's not helpful. And I don't know that Cade Povich, that what we saw against the Red Sox on Saturday, is a sign that he's figured it out. But at the moment, I was willing. Let Rogers see what he can do. Everybody keeps telling me he's got all this experience against the Mets. He's been good against the Mets It's twice now. He told me he was good against the Nationals. Told me he was good against the Mets. Now what? As far as Seranthony Dominguez is concerned, as I've said a million times, I will eternally be less concerned about home runs than I am about walks. There is a limit to it. It can't be that you're giving up a home run in every game and we just keep saying, well, at least he's not walking anybody. If his role is to be the 9th inning guy, more often than not, he's not going to pitch in a tie game. He's not going to pitch in a scenario where a solo home run will lose the game. That's a rare occurrence. The Orioles decided to get him ready for the 9th. We can have a conversation about whether or not that made sense given that he had gone past an inning the day before, but the pitch count wasn't out of control. I didn't have an immediate issue with them turning to Dominguez, and they were hoping they were going to take the lead in the top of the 9th inning, and then Dominguez would be the guy in the bottom of the 9th. There's logic there. Also, Tell me who you would want pitching in a tie game in the bottom of the ninth. Tell me who that guy is.
Selby.
I mean, he looked good. That's part of the problem. We were talking about Selby's spot being he looked good. And obviously Keegan Aiken was great. That's the bummer, right? Like, Keegan Aiken was phenomenal. Phenomenal last night.
And he's the guy you option.
What's that?
He's like the guy. If they're going to go to a 6-man, he's probably
Aiken?
the guy you option, like at least the top candidate right now. Well, I guess it could be Burt Smith and Selby have options too. But
yeah, I mean, I think Selby would be the first guy that you would option because you have no idea if what you saw last night.
Clearly, he's a guy.
Maybe. It's a bummer, and we'll have to monitor. I mean, again, I'm not going to keep saying it's okay to give up solo home runs forever, but I will live with solo home runs. That's part of baseball. Sometimes you make a pitch and a guy makes contact, and that's life. That's competitive. Walks and stolen bases are not competitive. Guy making a swing, that's competitive. I'll live with it. But there's a limit to that, too. And again, it goes to show you that even the best option still isn't a great option, which is part of the problem. It's just not a good bullpen. And I get that, like, I don't know how many. Cleveland has a really good bullpen. How many teams in baseball have a really good bullpen? It's rare. That's why I keep convincing myself that, like, Cleveland is the team to beat in the American League because they're the one that has a bullpen once you get to the playoffs. They're confident every time they pull somebody out of that bullpen. They're like, this is a dude. It's a bummer. I mean, it's a bummer that particularly that you battle back. One of the things that maybe we can have a deeper conversation about this. I don't know how to define it. The weird way that we feel about this season, one of the definitions I'll give you is there's been no Orioles magic. That's one of the things that we've enjoyed most about the last couple of seasons is the truly memorable wins. And I get that last year, like 90% of them were provided by Cedric Mullins. And so maybe that's the issue, is that Cedric Mullins has been sort of so-so this season, so that's been the death of Orioles magic. But games that you remember, that stand out, how many of them have there been this year? And I'm not saying that necessarily last night would have definitively been that, but down 3-0, struggling, working your way back, Ramon Arias being a hero. Imagine if someone in the ninth inning hit to work your way back from down 3-0 on the road. Like, there would have been a feeling of this was a big one. This was an emotional one. There was a chance for some Orioles magic. And there's just been so little of that this season. There's been so few moments. We remember Jackson Holliday's grand slam, right? We'll probably remember that going into next year. How many other games, individual games this year,
I mean,
are memorable?
Like, probably you have to go back to April, like Westberg's walk-off. Like, that was that the last bit of magic they had.
I had kind of forgotten about it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
Like, I was trying to think of any walk-offs, and that's the only.
And Mullins had the walk-off in the afternoon game.
That's right. Yeah, right before the break.
Right.
Yeah, against the Yankees.
Oh no, that I wasn't even thinking of that one. That one, of course, is memorable. But I'm thinking of the one that was on like a Wednesday afternoon at Camden Yards, and
why can't I remember that?
I went to the game. I only remember it well, but it was like a 1-0 game for forever. And
against Toronto or Minnesota?
Minnesota is the game.
So that was also April.
There's just not been a lot, man. There's just not been a lot of Orioles magic.
James McCann, kind of getting hit in the face.
Hit in the face.
That was magical.
Yeah, there was. I mean, it certainly was memorable. I don't know if it was magical, but it was certainly memorable. Like, that's... I feel like that's part of why we've been so meh towards this team. Part of it is expectations, right? Like, the last 2 years, there were no expectations, so just winning it all becomes magical. This year, there were expectations, so... You're like not even meeting the expectations. It doesn't matter that you're winning. You're not even meeting the expectations, so it's hard to have true like romantic feelings about the baseball team. But part of it really is that the nature of the wins, they haven't been memorable. That's it's cliche, this Orioles magic thing, but like it's ingrained in us. It's part of who we are. We want magic. We want memories. We want moments. We want all of that. Every night it's a different star. That's the magic. It's right there in the lyrics. I talk about it all the time. That's what made the last couple of seasons so joyous, is that you would have, yes, a lot of them were Cedric Mullins, but there were so many other moments. And you're just not feeling that this year. I'm not trying to suggest that doesn't make the team good or anything like that, or that they can't win or anything along those lines, but I don't know, last night felt like it was that chance. That we were going to come in today and talk about how it was the Ramon Urias and Keegan Aiken game.
And Selby.
Selby to a lesser. One of those two dudes was going to be man of the match, most likely, right? Like Keegan Aiken or Ramon Urias. Ramon Urias, who he had cast off and said he shouldn't be on the team a couple of weeks ago. Keegan Aiken, who wasn't on the team a couple of weeks ago. Like those two dudes, one of them were going to be...
He wrote about Dominguez this morning, actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
We'll talk to him later this morning.
I was unaware.
Yeah.
I mean, that's swell. I'm happy to talk to Tyler Kepner. I like Tyler Kepner. But you just...
I know. Well, I was trying
It's
to figure
fine.
out the best way to...
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not mad.
To update
Aren't
the
we supposed to be...
program.
Yeah, all right. I'm not... I was just confused. I was like, are we... Is that supposed to be somebody else? What am I missing here? Talk to Tyler Kepner. I enjoy his work. A little bit later on in the program. Orioles will try again tonight. That's all. That's the way it goes. Just keep trying to find some wins. That's the reality of the circumstances. It makes it more difficult to try to win the series when you lose game one. Dean Kramer, who is coming off obviously his best start. Dean Kramer goes tonight against Jose Quintana. Game 2 of the 3-game set up in New York at Citi Field. Today's show is brought to you by County Sports Zone. High school sports season gets underway like momentarily. I mean, this week, high school football begins for particularly some of the private school levels. And all season long, not just football, but every high school sport. If you go to countysports.zone, you can get every score, every schedule, every ranking, every update that you could possibly want for every program in the state. Be a well-informed local sports fan. Countysports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. All right. New updates for the MLB Top 100 prospect last week at MLBpipeline.com, and that always is a great excuse for us to welcome in one of our favorites. He is Jonathan Mayo, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Jonathan, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Always a pleasure.
Hey, Jonathan, I know that there's no real reason to ask why Jackson Holliday was still number one. The answer is right. Like, he's number one. There's nothing that we could have seen that would have made that go the other way. I guess my question is Jackson Holliday still definitively like the otherworldly talent that we want to believe that he is?
I think he still has a chance to be. There weren't many other choices at the time when we were re-ranking. We thought maybe James Wood wouldn't have graduated, but he ended up graduating before the re-rank. He was the only other person really in the conversation for that top spot. And to be fair, I think, yes, Jackson Holliday struggled when he first got to the big leagues. I think we're seeing, since he's been back up, what he is capable of. And he's just scratching the surface. I think he set the bar so high with the 1 year that he had in pro ball that people forget that he's 20 for all of this year. So I think there needs to be a little grace given. It's such a steep learning curve that he was ahead of for the entirety of his first full season of pro ball. So has the luster diminished ever so slightly? Maybe, but I also think that's unfair. And to us, it was clear that he's still the number one prospect, and his ceiling is still immensely high.
What about specifically as a second baseman? We see moments like he made a play last night. We're like, wow, that guy can play. I I still don't know how confident I am that he's a high-level second baseman or that particularly it's the best place for him to be playing.
So where is the best place for him?
Yeah, the problem would be shortstop, right? And then you got a shortstop. So it's a
right.
tough.
Well, and it's also I don't think he is a shortstop.
Okay.
I think at the end of the day, I think second base. Could he play shortstop? Yeah, I think he can. I think that this is someone who played shortstop his entire life until he started his pro career, and even last year he spent most of his time at short. And yes, he spent a lot of the offseason and all of this year playing a lot of second base, and with a little bit of shortstop mixed in. So he is still learning. So he got a lot of reps, but that doesn't replicate what it's like to play second base at the major league level. And I think, when he came up the first time, overall, the game sped up on him and he was trying to do too much. He's going to be just fine at second base. It's not like he's making a ton of errors. I think he's going to be a very good second baseman when all is said and done. But think about someone who spent his entire amateur life playing one position and one position only, and then shifting over a little bit as a pro, but mostly focusing on that one premium position. And then being told, oh, hey, you need to play second base at the highest level. Again, learning curve. He's going to be just fine.
You speaking of positions, in the top 10 of your guys' list is now Coby Mayo. And is there a chance Coby Mayo is anything other than a first baseman in the bigs?
I don't think so. Maybe you give him a chance. Again, let's put aside personnel in the big league level and pretend like there isn't any other third baseman. Could you give him a chance? Sure, because with that arm, you don't want to completely throw that out the window. But I think that he's going to continue to slow down probably. I think you just let him play first and not worry about the rest of it. I think he could be an adequate third baseman. Again, it's mostly he's got one of the strongest arms of any prospect in all of baseball. And it's almost a shame to, I don't say put it to waste, but you don't use it as much, obviously, as a first baseman. But I think they'll come to the realization, you just let them play first, let the bat play, and, the arm is what it is.
He is Jonathan Mayo, MLB Pipeline. He is with us here on GCR. Jonathan, we've had a lot of conversations about the possibility of the Orioles re-signing Anthony Santander as a free agent in the offseason, and it feels like there's a train of thought that says, look, it's going to cost you more than you realized it was going to going into the year. God bless him, he hits home runs, but I think most people believe the Orioles are probably going to try to trade Ryan Mountcastle again in the offseason and let Coby Mayo be their first baseman moving forward. And if that's the case, then maybe you'd let Anthony Santander walk and Heston Kjerstad's your right fielder. Like, how confident would you be about a middle of the order and getting the home run production that you need if it's, Mayo and Kjerstad in the middle of the order moving forward and not Mountcastle and Santander?
I mean, I think that long term, I have every confidence that those guys can hit in the middle of the order. It's why we rank them as high as we can. I think I wonder if the perspective has shifted a little bit because the Orioles are winning now. And I think they have a farm system that could help them continue to be, a very competitive major league team for a while. So, do you let both of those guys go? I'm not sure. I think an argument certainly can be made that Coby Mayo will be a better all-around hitter and run producer than Ryan Mountcastle. Heston Kjerstad has shown glimpses. He's 25. I think the time is now.
Right.
I think it's just a question of whether or not the Orioles brain trust is willing to hand the keys over to all the young kids all at once while they're trying to win. So maybe there's some sort of middle ground that they try to find. Now, I think from a personnel standpoint, it might make the most sense to let Santander go and keep get rid of Mountcastle and keep Santander, but that's not taking the economics into play, just in terms of where you have spots. Like I feel that Coby Mayo should be given a longer time to show that he can hit every day, starting opening day next year. With Kjerstad, I think health-wise and production-wise, we need to sort of see what he can do.
Jonathan, the number 11 on your guys' list is where we find Samuel Basallo. And in Baltimore, we've had a lot of conversation about, a maybe not so distant future where you have two catchers and they're both everyday players, and one of them is catching and one of them is DHing, and they're almost splitting the season. But I've talked to a lot of folks who still kind of wonder about Samuel Basallo, the catcher. Where are you with the confidence that he could be a 50 to 80 game major league catcher in the next few seasons?
Is there an automatic ball and strike system in play?
Well, that's a great question. Are you saying there's a pitch framing problem?
No, he's not great behind the plate. Again, the arm really works. I think the rest of it is not great in the overall receiving. Could he catch twice a week? Yeah, I think he'd probably be okay back there. I think it depends on what it is that you're looking to get. He had gotten better, and made kind of steady improvement behind the plate. My understanding is that it's plateaued a little bit. I haven't dug in deeply onto his defense real recently, but I do think that there are concerns. And listen, he's huge. Have you seen him up close?
Yeah.
I had not until the Futures game. And I was like, it's one thing to see, all right, 6'4" on paper. He's big. So, I don't know if that's going to work long term. Again, I think you could have him in the lineup every day, catching twice a week, DHing, maybe playing a little first base. If you still think Coby Mayo can play a little third, maybe he can sort of be creative with the lineup, and he goes first, third, DH, and Basallo goes catcher, first, DH, and everyone gets the right amount of at bats. He's gonna hit. I'm pretty confident that he's gonna hit. Again, he just turned 20, so you could pump the brakes a little bit and not have to answer this question until 2026. If he really wanted to, he may force their hand based on how he hits in AAA, next year. But, it's a good problem to have. I think, having him catch more than a little bit might be a little bit too much ask. And then, I don't know how that figures into, you want him to develop into the best hitter he can be at a certain point in time, not having to worry about catching once or twice a week. Would that be better? I'm not sure.
I would smell like you'd have to keep a third catcher on your roster, and that's tough. I'm looking at your Orioles rankings, and it's interesting because we saw Cade Povich, really look like a mess kind of his first time up, particularly just with the walks. His final 3 starts, it was 13 walks, and I can't remember that it was over 13 innings. It was rough in those final 3 starts. And then he comes back this Saturday and he looks brilliant against the Red Sox. And it leads to a lot of Orioles fans asking the question, particularly as Trevor Rogers has been just a disaster since he was acquired at the deadline. Is Cade Povich ready to be a guy the rest of this season in a race for a division title? How close do you feel like Cade Povich is to being able to be an impactful major league starter?
I think, the thing that makes it difficult is he is who he is. And I think he is a big league starter. But, the stuff isn't plus. It's more, so he needs to have feel for the zone more than he's shown consistently. But he's got a full array of pitches. He's not a guy that you think, this guy's going to be a savior or front the rotation. And I would sort of caution Orioles fans not to put too much stock into one big league start. I was encouraging that he's made some good adjustments since he went back down and he'd been throwing better. He's a solid major league starter. I don't know that and I think he will be for a long time. But if you're thinking that he's the guy that gets you to the promised land, that's probably putting a little too much weight on his shoulders.
I don't think. Boy, I want to be careful about that. I don't know that anybody's think. It's more just like, can you clear the bar of Trevor Rogers, who's been awful? Can you be a fifth starter that can just go out and compete? Because they're not even getting that at the moment from the guy they acquired at the deadline.
Yeah, I think he has a chance to be that, but he also could be Trevor Rogers. He's been good in the minors, not great. The questions about the command have yet to be completely answered. And again, for a guy who isn't going to come in throwing, upper 90s, that is really important. So I think you should give him the opportunity. I think that what that start did is give him more of a chance to show what he can do.
Right.
Knowing that, once you get into the postseason, you're not going to need him to start, or you shorten, presumably you shorten up the rotation and things of that nature. But if you feel that you've given Rodgers sort of enough of a leash and it's not working, you're winning now. So I don't care that you acquired him at the deadline. If it's not working, try something else.
Yeah, 100%. We are in agreement about that. Is there a pitcher in the system, Jonathan, that you believe has a chance to be more than that? Is that has a chance to be, not even talking about an ace, but like a top half of the rotation type of pitcher in the bigs?
That's you're poking in the cavity of the Orioles system right there.
Yeah.
That is the one thing that has been lacking. I think there are guys who have good stuff that we need to kind of wait and see, like Luis De Leon. I think Juan Nunez is interesting, but been hurt. And he's, not that 23 years old, but it's not like he's 19. So I think the short answer is no.
Okay.
There isn't anybody. Now, one guy to really keep an eye on, and I still think he's a reliever when all's said and done, is Patrick Riley.
Mm-hmm.
The Orioles got from the Pirates. Stuff-wise, he does fit that. But this is the first time in his life he's come anywhere close to throwing strikes on a regular basis. So color me skeptical.
Yep.
I think he's a big leaguer. I think you keep him starting until, he shows that he can't, or you have a need. And I think at some point now, maybe next year, if you decide, well, we need to shorten him up, this stuff is going to be really, really good. It'll be a plus fastball and slider out of the bullpen, and everything will tick up, maybe triple digits. He's got the most exciting array of stuff in the system at this point, I would say. Wow. It's just a question of, can he command it enough for him to start? And I don't know the answer yet. This year has been very encouraging. It's his first full season, but he's already pitched more, consistently than he ever did when he was at Vanderbilt.
All right, so then let me phrase it to you this way, and then we'll let you go. If the Orioles just don't have those guys, Corbin Burnes is almost certainly gone. You have Zach Eflin, you have Grayson Rodriguez. That's not a bad 1-2 next year, but that's what you got with Kyle Bradish not likely to be back till maybe the end of the season. Maybe one option is if you sign Santander, then you try to use Heston Kjerstad to go acquire some pitching. Certainly an option is just signing some pitching. But after they drafted Vance Honeycutt, is it possible there's some redundancy there with Enrique Bradfield, and Bradfield now could be a more appealing trade option to try to help land you more pitching for next season?
I think I'll answer it in a more general sense, because I think what any team has to do is look at where they have depth and strength. And we all knew there would be a point in time where the stacked Orioles system there would create a logjam at the upper levels, and that's kind of what you want. And then it's a question of, well, how much from that large pool amassing are you willing to trade from? And they've used it without, getting rid of any of the big names. Vance Honeycutt and Enrique Bradfield are very different players in terms of their offensive profile. Is it redundant because they're both really good defensive center fielders? Right. Yes, but we don't know if Vance Honeycutt can hit.
That's fair.
Enough. So I don't know that you decide, okay, well, Bradfield's expendable because we just drafted Vance Honeycutt. I think any of those guys are probably in the shore where I think we would entertain offers because we have offensive depth and we need pitching. And you're at a certain point in time, you have to be willing to say yes to trade if there is the right guy to bring in based on what the Orioles are trying to do. I want to go back to one guy to keep an eye on who really is interesting to me is a guy we just added to the top 30 is Keeler Morphe, who's down in A-ball throwing 1,000 miles an hour.
Okay.
He's undersized. He's like 5'8" on a good day, but he throws really hard. He's got a really good slider. The changeup has actually gotten better, and he's around the zone. I don't know what he is because he's 18 years old,
right.
But he just got to the United States this year, but he got bumped up to Delmarva and he has thrown pretty well in his brief amount of time in the States this year. But he's a guy to be like, let's keep an eye on to see what he becomes.
MLBpipeline.com, of course, is where you see the updated rankings, and he's always at Jonathan Mayo on Twitter. Jonathan, is there anything else we can plug for you, my friend?
That's it.
Hey, man, always appreciate taking the time for us. Thanks for doing this morning. Let's talk again real soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Jonathan Mayo with us here on GCR. It's funny, I had Chris was listening this morning, a message and said, if they can't get Cade Povich back in time, would you be inclined to let your recent guest Brandon Young be the one to make the start instead, just because you want to get rid of Trevor Rogers? I guess what I would say right now is, am I inclined? I would be. I'd give it a shot, right? Do I think that they would be? No. I don't think that they would choose to go with guy making his major league debut over Trevor Rogers. I don't think so. Again, I think the real question is, should they be going with 6 men this week based on the fact they thought they needed a 6-man last week? Now, that maybe is where that conversation becomes more compelling, right? Like Brandon Young has been pitching well. He's at an elevated age. Is it crazy to think he could come up and make one start? I'm not opposed if you can't get Cade Povich back. And are you essentially saying, hey, it's one more shot for Rogers this weekend, and then that's it? He pitches whatever the day that would be. If we did this over 6 days, then I guess that would be Sunday that he would pitch.
That Rogers is due up again.
If you added Young, right? If you gave Young, then Rogers pitch Sunday, and you'd essentially say that's it. You're pitching for your rotation life at that point. And you do have a day off next Monday, correct?
Correct.
So you wouldn't necessarily, even if you wanted to keep rest, you wouldn't have to go keep a 6-man next week. So you could kind of make a decision.
Yeah, then they have 10 straight.
10 straight after Monday?
Yeah.
I don't know that you're doing this 6-man thing the rest of the season.
9, actually, 9.
I don't know that you can do that. It might, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'd think about it. I guess I would say my answer wouldn't be you can't. I don't think they would, but I don't think my answer would be that they can't. If you haven't picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, it is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. That's Kyle Hamilton there on the cover. You know him. He's a football player of note. He's quite good. We like him. And he's got a really neat story, and Bo Smolka dove into that for the cover of this month's Press Box. Also, sort of our fall college sports kickoff, if you will, as you meet college football players and college soccer players from the D1 programs around the state. That's all inside this print issue of Press Box, which you can get for free right now. As Griffin mentioned, Tyler Kepner wrote about Seranthony Dominguez for The Athletic today. We're going to talk to him about that. Still to come this morning, Corbin Burnes joins the program. That's all on the way. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Hey, Birdland, head to Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Saturday, August 24th, as the Orioles take on the Houston Astros at 4:05. The first 25,000 fans 15 and over will receive an Orioles soccer jersey presented by Point Breeze Credit Union. This one-of-a-kind giveaway features the O's colors and a Maryland flag theme pattern. Be sure to get to the yard early to score the O's soccer jersey and enjoy a fun-filled evening of Orioles baseball. Buy your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
Escape to Ocean City, Maryland, and discover a place that just feels lighter, where every day feels like Saturday and French fries are a food group, where flip-flops are always in fashion and seafood is always in season, where the boardwalk is bustling and the beach is right outside your door, where you can rise with the tide and feel like a kid again. Ocean City, Maryland, somewhere to smile about. Book your trip at OCOcean.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
We've all experienced it before, the fantasy football draft from hell. Your buddy says you can do it at his house, but he never asks his wife. She's screaming at him the whole time and forces you guys to sit outside in the unforgiving heat. Then everyone brings the exact same store-bought 7-layer dip, and somehow you accidentally draft someone named LeVar Jackson because your brain can't function in these circumstances. Don't cop out and just move your draft online this year. Let Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel handle everything for you. Book your draft party, complete with your choice of all-you-can-eat entrees, drinks, and custom draft kits for the whole league, plus a custom trophy for your champion and a $75 gift card for the commish. Visit PressBoxOnline.com/social. That's PressBoxOnline.com/social, and never have a fantasy draft from hell again.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Frederick Keys Baseball is back. With 30 more home games beginning on July 2nd, the Keys are excited to welcome you back to Nimio Field at Harry Grove Stadium. We want to see you there. Countless promotions will be on display every game, with it ranging from Tap House Tuesdays to Firework Fridays and everything in between. For more information or to buy tickets, call 301-815-9939 or visit frederickkeys.com today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson got together yesterday. If you missed it, you can find it, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab. Go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video to check out what the boys had to say about the mediocre Orioles. I hate saying it that way, but it's just sort of the reality.
20 games over 500.
They are. That's also true. Both things can be true. There's nothing that says that one is true and the other is not true. They both can be true. The Yankees were off last night, so the Orioles, again, are a half game back of the Yankees in the AL East after the loss in New York last night. Who do the Yankees have this week? Who do they play? Who are we fans of this week? Oh, we're Guardians guys.
I mean, I guess
nope,
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
There's no, well, you could be fighting with them for the number one. Nope. You're Guardians guys. That's the way that it goes. If anything, that's a fair. Of course, this is ironically the series the Yankees end up sweeping, right? Like, ironic. They can't beat any of the bad teams. They can't beat the Tigers, and they turn around and sweep the Guardians.
And then they get the Rockies are coming to New York over the weekend.
Well, it doesn't seem. You would think that wouldn't be of much help, but again, the Tigers were of help. So I don't know how to measure what a series against the Rockies might look like. There you go. That's your rooting interest, if you will, moving forward this week. Is you got to be Guardians guys. Happy National Radio Day, Griffin. What'd you get me?
Corbin Burnes.
Yeah. You did. Griffin said I booked a guest. I really mixed it up today. Booked a guest for a change. Thanks. Happy National Radio Day. I don't.
Is it a gift giving holiday?
I don't. I think that I think over at the radio station they're doing a luncheon.
Oh,
I think that's
so
the
I should
case.
stop in, I guess.
Yeah, you could.
Or maybe I wasn't invited. I don't know.
I think everybody was invited. I think that's the case. I'm actually going out to see the Ravens today, of all things. So I hope you don't have anybody that we're supposed to be recording with this afternoon.
I think we should be okay.
I realized today was the final day of training camp, and I had not been out, and that's one of those things that they care about over there. So I'm going to go make a cameo appearance today and pretend like I'm going to be the guy that's clearly not watching. I'm just walking around saying hello to people. It's rough because I don't think there are fans today, so I won't be able to get. When there are fans, you can get away with that. You can go over there and just like walk around and chat with people, and there's so much noise that nobody notices that you haven't paid a lick of attention. And they think that you're out there like, yeah, he's making some observations. Nope. There will be none of that. Oh, this is hell for me. Like, I can't. But yeah, I'll be out with the Ravens today, and we'll see. Maybe I'll have some sort of content coming from it. I'm gonna guess not, but I'm not planning on it. I didn't say. Hey, we'll see. We'll see what.
Just ask Harbaugh a really tough question.
Yeah, grill him.
They'll love that. They'll love
Did
that.
you see this morning? So the Ravens are holding a joint practice with the Packers on Thursday ahead of the preseason game on Saturday. The Packers have a tradition at training camp where players ride, like kids bring their bikes. And then the players ride the bikes to practice, and then I guess the kids walk with them. This has gone on.
Or is
for
it like they ride
time.
their bikes with them or something? Or
I think that the kid is supposed to give them the bike, and then like you walk along. And
so
then
if the bike's really small.
Well, yeah, I don't look, man. I don't know all the details. But
I've heard of this
saw
tradition, yeah.
on Twitter today that they were saying they need more bikes because they would like for Ravens players to also ride bikes to practice on Thursday to participate in the tradition. So then the internet, like you just said, was humorously imagining Daniel Fa'alele
on a little bike.
On a child's bike. But I've seen pictures of like Packers offensive. This has been a tradition for a very long time. I have seen pictures of like big guys' little bikes over the years from Packers training camp. So apparently the Ravens will be participating with that later on in the week as well. Trivia last night, only 2 sports questions, and like always, very infuriating for the sports guy when they could not be easier. Jesus. If you thought last week's were easy, holy ass. I swear to God, Griffin, one of the questions, a wager round question. What team is featured on the current season of Hard Knocks?
Ooh. So did it specify off season or in season?
Current season.
What's actively?
The current season.
I think I know.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Do you think you know?
Yeah. The Bears.
Apparently, there were people.
No.
There were 2 teams that got it wrong. One team
man.
apparently said the Giants because they were thinking of and one team said the Jets, I guess, because it was last year the Jets.
Last year was the Jets.
Yeah, it must have been what it was. One team said the Jets. So miraculously, there
Losers.
were 2 teams in the bar that got it wrong, which is a miracle because how? And then if you thought that one was easy, what Hall of Famer was famously known as the celebrity pitchman for Tinactin?
What's Tenactin?
Oh, my God. I've talked about this on this show.
Tenactin?
I have said...
Is that like a music group?
I
don't know what Tenactin is.
It's a foot powder.
Oh.
I have said many times...
Oh. Well, is he not a Hall of... Is he a Hall of... Oh. I was going to say Rex Ryan. But
no, definitely not Rex Ryan. Jesus, man. I have talked on this show about how I would give anything to have this man sell me some Boom Tough Actin' Tenactin. It is the greatest joy of my life was watching this man in commercials. I get very emotional talking about that. When he passed away recently, I was emotional despite the fact that I had no connection. We just talked about him on the show last week. Just had an entire basic segment about him because they're making a movie about him.
Oh, John Madden?
John Madden. Don't know that John Madden sold me Boom Tough Actin' Tenactin. God.
I didn't know that.
The greatest joy I'll ever experience in my life.
Am I supposed to know that?
Yes. It's very famous.
Well, thank you for teaching
You
me.
watched the John Madden, what was that, the Madden documentary that Fox did? What was that called? All Madden, I believe is what it was called. Yeah. It played a significant role. John Madden. But you would have been the only person in the bar that didn't know that one. Chief.
Really? Everyone knew that?
Everybody got that one. That's very famous. Boom! Tough Actin' Tenactin. I say it in my sleep sometimes. I've never been happier than watching John Madden do Tenactin commercials. Ever. Ever. Make sure I had this right. I did. I remember. Hang on a second.
What?
I remember sharing this.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to... It wasn't Johnny Madden or something.
On March 6, 2023, I posted the following on Facebook. I struggle with parenting. Like, how do I explain to my kids that no matter what they do in their lives, nothing will ever make them as happy as John Madden selling me Boom Tough Actin' Tenactin made me? God.
Something to think about if anyone wants to become a parent.
Great joy. Yeah. Sorry. There will never be a joy like that in my life. The final we got right, but we were not confident in our answer, and it bit us in the ass. So we only wagered 5 points, and we ended up finishing in 4th place because of it. If we had gone all in like we should have, I don't think we would have gotten first. I think we would have been second. The final was, what state capital has the biggest population that isn't the most populous city within that state?
State capital has the biggest...
What is the most populated state capital?
But is not the biggest...
That isn't the most populated city in the state. In their state.
Okay. So the largest capital that isn't the largest city.
The most populous capital city that isn't in their own state the most populous city.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. All right, let's see. Am I allowed to throw out my guesses?
We wrote down literally every state capital.
I know. The first one that came to mind was like Austin.
Okay.
What else? I'm trying to think of what else. Like, because a lot of these just don't seem not. I guess it could be Sacramento, just because California's so big. Like, I want to stick with the big states, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Albany's not going to be.
Probably not Albany.
Probably not Albany.
I'll probably agree with you on that.
Harrisburg, definitely not.
I don't think so, but who knows?
I'll add to the list.
Yeah, all right. Who knows?
What are like other large states that like Tallahassee? I wouldn't think. I mean, for the sake of time, I think I want to stick with my original thoughts.
Okay, so we were between.
I will go Austin.
Austin, Columbus.
Okay.
You mentioned Sacramento. That was on our list. Raleigh was on our list of possible.
Yeah. Not like Springfield, Illinois.
No, not Springfield, Illinois. And Madison was on our list as well. So those were the ones on our list. But
why Madison?
It's a big place. Madison's a big place. But and it wouldn't be as big as Milwaukee. So, it was on the list. We started scratching them off. We came down to Austin or Columbus. Turns out they're both right between 900,000 and 1 million. We went back and did that afterwards. The difference being, and we didn't know, if Columbus was bigger than Cleveland or not. Like, we just couldn't, in our mind, we were like, turns out massively bigger than Cleveland.
Really?
And this goes back to, like, the city versus county thing that we always struggle with when we come to populations. Like, I'm going to guess the Cleveland metropolitan area bigger than Columbus. But apparently the actual population of Cleveland is only something like 300,000. So that's got to be a city versus county thing. So Columbus is the most populous city in the state of Ohio. We guessed Austin. We got it right, but we only wagered 5 points. We really screwed that up. But look at you.
Yeah,
look at
knew
you.
right away.
Yeah, getting something right. What a world. What a world. All right, very good. But you still doesn't make up for your not getting the Tinactin question right. That is as embarrassing.
I don't know why I would know that.
Embarrassing. I guess technically there was one other sports-ish question because one question was name the 3 people that Marilyn Monroe was married to. You don't know, really?
I was about to say JFK. I know that's not
certainly was not married to JFK. There was a relationship, but not married to. I only knew 2 of them. We didn't get one of them. I still don't know who this person was. Somebody named Doherty, maybe Don Doherty or something like that was his name. Arthur Miller was one that she was married to. And, of course, the one that it's shameful that Griffin doesn't know is Jolton Joe DiMaggio is the 3rd. Jolton Joe. All right. Today at The Athletic, our next guest writes about Seranthony Dominguez, of course, who did give up the home run to Alvarez last night as the Orioles lost to the Mets, but who has been very good and has seemingly stabilized the closer role in Baltimore, although the Orioles won't just come out and say that for whatever reason. Joining us now, MLB writer, he is our friend, Mr. Tyler Kepner, and he's back with us now on GCR. Tyler, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the call. It's it's your audience can learn. It's the rule of sports writing. If you decide to write the closer before the game, he's going to give up the walk-off home run.
The way it works.
You're right. You're right about how great he's been. And it's like, oh, and there he goes walking off. But that's how it goes.
Tyler, it's a weird thing because, and I would say it this way, I think we're going to have to talk. Seranthony Dominguez did have a home run problem in Philadelphia as well. I, personally, can live with someone giving up solo home runs, much like last night. Look, man, it was 3-0 pitch. Alvarez decided to go for it. He made a hell of a swing. That happens sometimes. It's a competitive pitch to me that went the wrong way. Even Felix Bautista, in a historically good season a year ago, gave up some home runs. It's, to me, the difference is I'll live with that. The Kimbrel problem was you're putting 2 guys on every inning by walking them and giving up free stolen bases. I think that we have to understand there's a difference between sometimes a guy gives up a home run, a solo home run, versus someone who puts a bunch of guys on base.
Right. And it's hard to have everything. If you want a guy who's more ground ball oriented, then he tends not to get as many strikeouts, and we see that with the Yankees. Clay Holmes is really good. He's got a great sinker, but he has 10 blown saves because it's a lot of times you wish he would just get a strikeout instead of having to put the ball in play, and something happens. So, you've seen Kimbrel. Look, Kimbrel is 5th all time in saves. He's had a lot of success, but we saw it last year with the Phillies where he fell apart in a couple of playoff games against Arizona. He had some rough times in the playoffs with Boston, and he just puts a lot of guys on base, and as they say, he doesn't hold them on base. So things start to unravel on him, and he's been working in the bullpen on tinkering and stuff, but I don't think he's, at this point, the guy you want out there in the 9th inning, and I think Dominguez seems like he is going to be that guy. I mean, he's essentially the replacement for the replacement. They keep trying to find a guy in that 9th inning, and he's the best option now, and he has had success with the Phillies. He had his moments for sure.
Tyler, what do you make of the fact that Brendan Hyde still won't call him the closer? Like, is that he's got to earn it a little bit more? Is that I still want to show deference to Craig Kimbrel because he is, an arguable Hall of Fame caliber closer? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm not around him enough to know for sure, but I can say just from experience that a lot of times managers don't want to box themselves in by putting a designation on somebody like that. Then it's sort of like it becomes its own position rather than just a high leverage reliever. Mm-hmm. It's sort of more the terminology they go with now to give them a little flexibility to use a different guy if he feels like his stuff matches up better. Because they all the reports, as you know now, are just so detailed. Like, this guy's stuff matches up against these guys' swings in this pocket of the lineup. But yeah, I think in an ideal world, you'd like someone you can just plug in there and in the ninth and not worry about it. And you go by the guy's actions. And recently, he's been that guy.
He is Tyler Kepner from The Athletic. He's with us here on GCR. Tyler, just to revisit it for a second, it's 9 home runs now on the season for Dominguez. It's 3 in 11 games since he's come to Baltimore. What is that number where we start to be troubled by it? Like, I right now, I can be largely dismissive of it, but it is home runs and back-to-back appearances, right? Like, where does it start becoming an issue for him if he's going to be the closer for a team that's in the postseason trying to win a World Series?
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 in what has he got, 11 innings or so with the Orioles is tough, because when you're going to be pitching in those tight games, those 1-run games, even if it's a solo home run, that costs you the lead. So, yeah, it's probably something at this point that Oriole fans are going to have to worry about. Because Dominguez is good. He's better than what they had. It was a good trade. Hayes had no real role in the team anymore. So yeah, it was a nice deal. But if he's the best that you've got, he very well could run the table and be perfect. I mean, look, we saw it last year with guys like Jose Leclerc and Josh Spores, and it can happen, right? But it's not as much of a lockdown as you'd maybe want from a contending team. But the good thing is that, like I said, a lot of teams have these problems, like the Yankees with the good 10 blown saves from Clay Holmes. It's hard to get that lockdown guy every time, and Dominguez has done, except for a few long balls, he's objectively done a very nice job.
Tyler, I have to tell you, I am not your typical talk show. I grew out of that part of my life where, like, I wanted to be the guy that screamed on television. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm a much more middle of the road, down the line, call it as I see it type of person. Something that has set me off this season is when someone tells me, well, he's still Craig Kimbrel. Like, I lose it when I hear that. Like, it's like saying that when Jim Thome showed up in Baltimore in 2012, he was still Jim Thome, or like the guy that goes to play at the U.S. Open this year is still Tiger Woods. Like, we know that's not the case. But I don't know what the line is between, but maybe he could still be helpful, because the guy that we have seen since the day before the All-Star break, since the debacle against the Yankees that they ended up winning anyway, that guy's not even been competitive. Like, that's not someone that can pitch in the major leagues, the guy that we have seen from them. Does it matter what his track record has been? Like, are we at a point where we might have to acknowledge that it's just over for Craig Kimbrel, even though he's not like 42? I don't know how to talk about it appropriately. I don't know why it's supposed to matter that 5 years ago he was good with the Red Sox when he has only been good for a very short stretch in Baltimore at this point.
I think you're right. I mean, I think if they'll need to see some more of him before making that determination for October. But a few years ago, I think it was the Dodgers left him off their postseason roster. With his great resume and all, he's historically been a little bit of a tricky guy, because if he's not in that closer role, he's just not really hasn't shown that he's all that adaptable to setting up. And if you have a guy who's not in the closer role, and then he's not very good elsewhere, maybe he pitches himself off the postseason roster, as crazy as that is, because you have to be bloodless at that point. I mean, I think, Rob Thompson showed real deference to him last year, and it ended up hurting them in those games in Arizona, whereas the year before, Thompson was really a master at, giving, like I wrote, the 22 Phillies in that World Series run, they had 5 saves from 5 different guys. I mean, they had the horses to do it, but basically, Thompson just matched up like, every night, and you had 5 different guys who you could trust late in the game, and they all bought in. Eventually it burned him because Alvarado gave up a home run to Alvarez, but it got him to Game 6 of the World Series. But last year they didn't even get that far because he sort of designated Kimbrel as the guy, and it burned them in Arizona.
And to the point, like, they don't have a very good bullpen to begin with. That's part of the reason why, a Phillies cast-off was able to slide in and become their closer, right? Like, there's not a lot here. But if they do get Coulombe and Webb back before the end of the year, I'm not sure that I see a path for Craig Kimbrel and being on. It would have to be dramatically different in the coming weeks for that to be the case. Tyler, I'd like to just – it's tough for us trying to figure out like how to talk about the Orioles right now because we know that it matters that they're 20 games over 500 and they're only a half game back of the Yankees. We know that it matters that very few teams have been consistently good throughout the course of this season, but they also look like a very flawed baseball team that it is hard to figure out how they're going to be the team that's going to put together that stretch like the Rangers did a year ago, that just get in and let the chips fall where they may. It's hard to see it. Like, what are the Orioles as we sit here on August 20th?
Well, I think they're a very good team. I mean, from a national standpoint, I think they're really well respected and regarded, and they made a great deal for Eflin.
Yep.
He's been terrific. So, that kind of balances out Rogers not being so good, although he seemed to think last night that he pitched quite well. So I don't know. Maybe he picked up on something. In really good starters. No, I'm still here. So I was going through a tunnel. But
right.
Yeah, so they've at least got two, really good starters you can count on in a postseason setting. And then if they get Rodriguez back, Grayson, then that's three. And you can hang with most teams with that, and with the young talent in the offense and the experience last year. You take your chances with that lineup. So I'm not super worried about the Orioles, but I don't follow them, as closely as you guys do and maybe see some of the flaws.
No, I think your point is like if they get the guys back that they can still get back, and it's not just Grayson. We mentioned Webb and Coulombe. Jordan Westberg is still on that list. Even a helpful Jorge Mateo. Maybe that you do have a different conversation when we get to September. I think that like the bullpen part of it is still the really tricky part for me right now. Where like it is hard for me to look at this group and see this as a World Series caliber or capable group. That's a tough thing for me, Tyler.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing to remember, I guess, is that, we've seen in the last, 6-7 years in the World Series in the postseasons where teams will use these, their extra starting pitchers, for some bulk innings. The Dodgers did it with Arias a few years ago and Charlie Morton with the Astros. Even last year, Dane Dunning and John Gray and guys like that. So if you have, I don't know if that's Dean Kramer or what, but I don't know if those arms play up in relief. As you know, it's all hands on deck in postseason series, and the usage of the bullpen's a little different because you have more off days. But nothing that I could tell you is going to make you more confident in the group.
Well, I would say Albert Suarez will go into that conversation, but right now Albert Suarez would be the number 3 starter in the playoffs.
Right, he would. The way, yeah, that's the trick, right? The way he's pitching now is you'd want him in the rotation. No. But if they can get Grayson back, then they're deeper, and maybe.
Again, hopefully that's the case, and I have no idea how to talk about what a story Albert Suarez has been this season. It's been amazing. Tyler, I know it's at Tyler Kepner, of course, on Twitter, and always The Athletic. Is there a new book or anything like that we can plug for you?
No, just read The Athletic. I've been there for almost a full year now and been settling in to, working with this great team. So, just check out the work at The Athletic and all my colleagues. I would know we don't cover the Orioles every day. I wish we did, but we do. We try to cover as much as we can. So maybe one day we can get back on that beat. I don't know. That was before I got there.
and I know Brittany does a lot, and we appreciate that. But I certainly appreciate you. I know this was last minute. Thanks for hopping on this morning, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, guys.
Tyler Kepner with us here on GCR. We will link up his story at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter as well about Seranthony Dominguez. And yeah, I don't know what I don't know what the number is. It can't be every game, and it's now been back-to-back games. And again, the one on Sunday, you're like, whatever. It was a 4-1 game. Who cares? But it can't be every game that you're giving up a solo home run. The one to Ramirez against Cleveland, that wasn't a solo home run, right? There was a runner on base, I think, before that, which is what it made it particularly frustrating, I believe. But again, it's Jose Ramirez. I blanket, I can live with home runs. I can. You guys aren't going to be perfect. It won't work that way. I need competitive to even have a chance. There's no debate about, well, this is why you go back to Craig Kimbrel. If it becomes a problem with Seranthony Dominguez giving up home runs, it to me at that point defaults just back to you don't have a closer. There's no the guy, the Craig Kimbrel we've seen cannot be a closer. I don't know that he can be a helpful reliever. But there's no Craig Kimbrel argument for a closing role today, and without a significant amount of evidence the other way in order to get there. I'm not suggesting that Dominguez gets booted out of the role. And again, typically, as frustrating as it is, if a closer gives up a solo home run, usually it's not a circumstance like last night where it loses the game. Usually a solo home run only extends the game if a closer gives it up, because normally you're not coming in into tie games. Last night was particularly...
There was a guy on base in Cleveland. Perez walked the leadoff guy, and then Dominguez came in.
All right, so it wasn't his guy.
Yeah, he got the first out, and then...
So I would say that is relevant in the conversation.
And it was a 7-2 game.
He's given up 3 home runs in 10 2/3 innings, but none of them
Those
were...
are the 3 runs that he's given up.
Correct. And none of them were... He was responsible for... they're not all 3 solo home runs, but in my mind, they're all 3 solo home runs because of that. That's relevant to me. If you're walking a guy and then giving up a home run, disaster. That can't happen. 3 essential solo home runs, I can live with it. But it can't be every night. We can't just keep being a theme of, well, you can count on him giving up a home run every game. Well, that's not going to work. You're not going to be able to be the closer at that point. Just no way that can happen. We're not there yet. All right. We continue along on a Tuesday edition of GCR. Again, Corbin Burnes scheduled to join us in just a few minutes. Today's show is also brought to you by... this one's brought to you by... I only make it brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. I'm trying to make your fantasy draft better. You've been through it. By the way, hang on, I'll tell you about it in a second. I did another mock fantasy draft last night because I realized how...
Clueless?
Yeah, I'm just...
Ill-prepared?
I'm not at all prepared, not remotely. But they want to help you prepare the actual draft. Not the players you select, the functionality of it. So just go right now to PressBoxOnline.com/social, and you can find out about how your league can do your draft at Sports and Social. Your choice of all-you-can-eat entrees, plus your drinks, plus custom draft kit, plus the trophy for the league winner, plus, I keep saying plus, there's still more, plus a $75 gift card for the commissioner. Save a little for Dad, you know what I mean? It's a nice tip if you don't mind. PressBoxOnline.com/social. Book your draft. Stop trying to fight with everybody. Organize. Cause problems. Wives are mad. Don't go through it. Just say, this is what we're doing. We'll see it. Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. So I did a fantasy mock draft last night. Hang on, we can do this exercise real quick.
Did you win?
I don't know. I don't know. Because I'm starting to get a feel for what I like, what I don't like, what I want. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do some of that number. I think everybody knows about me that I lean towards, when I get to somebody's backup versus a rookie, I always end up taking a rookie. I have a problem with that.
I also definitely do that. And rookies kill me. I know, so the guy I know that is going to ruin my entire football season, just because I'm going to take him in every league, I think, Malik Neighbors. I love Malik Neighbors.
He plays for the Giants.
Exactly.
Why would you do that?
Because he's a great player.
So and I've had him come up as the top player. So I do it through fantasy.
I defer to just great players. I'm he's a good player.
I'm going to launch it right now. I just randomized it. We've got the 3rd pick. If we do this right now, hang on real quick. Third pick. Oh boy. So
maybe Daniel Jones will throw another interception this weekend, so that'll just maybe try to
McCaffrey
ease.
and CeeDee Lamb go 1-2. So I got to take Tyreek Hill. I don't like taking. But you got to take Tyreek Hill, right?
Like
probably.
Like it's.
I took Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Who else was that? Like it'd be.
No, it would be Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Breece Hall.
He's got Sam Darnold throwing him
quarterback.
the ball.
All right, so I come back around, right, and they say the best players.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's got to be the pick.
Best players available now with the 10th pick in the second round are Josh Allen, Chris Olave, Isaiah Pacheco. So I'm already in. I didn't take a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
All these running backs come off the board. So now the best running backs that are available are Pacheco, Achane, and Derrick Henry.
I think I'm fine with Achane there.
What's that going to look like with him and Mostert? Like, how confident are you that he's the guy? Like, there's a part of me that wants to say...
I think even if he isn't the guy, like, he can produce, and there's a chance that he does take more of a bulk role.
There's a part of me that wants to say, why not just draft Derrick Henry? Because he's the guy. Like, he's getting the overwhelming majority of the work. Now, somebody would say, well, you got to split that with Lamar Jackson, unlike in some of these other places.
What receivers are there?
And do you go all Dolphins?
Yeah,
we took Tyreek Hill in round 1. Are we going all Dolphins?
I don't think it's a terrible strategy. Just grab the Miami offense.
Put up a lot of points.
Yeah, just grab the Miami offense.
All right, fine. I'll go your route this time. I'll take Devon Achane. I don't know if that's what I would do.
What would you have done? You would have went Henry?
I think I might have in that. I think I might have in that predicament.
It's your draft.
Now, I come back around. The players that go between there are Olave, Josh Allen, Jalen Waddle.
Olave's still there?
No. This is who went.
Oh, okay.
Olave went, Josh Allen went, Waddle went, and Jalen Hurts went. So both Pacheco and Derrick Henry are still on the board.
Interesting.
The top wide receivers available are Ayuk and Evans. Ooh, and Cooper Kupp. Or I could go quarterback. Both Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are sitting there.
I think I think man,
I let you
I
have the
typically
last one.
don't love.
I'm taking Derrick Henry.
Okay.
I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I wanted it.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I think Pacheco or Henry's probably the pick there.
Yeah, I'm taking Derrick Henry.
Even though I don't love that mid.
Now it's a tough spot because
I
need wide receivers.
Well, the wide receiver is always deep, so I'm okay with
All right, so it comes back around. The best wide receivers that are available. Oh, Cooper Kupp's still sitting there. Oh, I'm taking Cooper Kupp, right? I'm doing that.
Who else is there?
I don't care. I didn't even.
All right.
Zay Flowers is still there.
Yeah, I'd take Cooper Kupp.
All right, into the fifth round now. Our team is 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers.
Good balance.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Like we got
Tyreek
Hill, and Cooper Kupp. We've got Derrick Henry and Devon Achane. I'm not angry about our team so far.
Who are we drafting against?
I don't know. Best available players. They're telling me I should take Amari Cooper.
Who's letting Cooper Kupp fall to the 4th round? I mean,
they're saying I should.
I haven't done a ton of mocks either, so maybe I don't have a bad sense. But
they're saying I should take one of Amari Cooper, Anthony Richardson, Trey McBride, or Aaron Jones. I'm intrigued by Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is in
Minnesota, where they don't have a quarterback. Like they're gonna have to hand the ball off, right?
Probably.
I don't like Amari. I don't want Amari Cooper.
Is he still? Where is he now? He's still in Cleveland.
Still in Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't love that.
And
either. If Joe Flacco was throwing him the ball,
there's a part of me that would rather have Mark Andrews and Trey McBride. I realize that Trey McBride. It's just that like everything about Arizona is so poisonous to me that I just don't know that I want to be hanging out there.
I think that's a great spot for Andrews.
It's a good spot for Andrews.
Did Laporta already go?
Laporta's gone. Evan Ingram's still there.
I'm just curious, like how the board.
Like, could we wait another round and get Evan Ingram?
Who are you taking? Who? So if you're not going tight end,
it would be Aaron. My options would be Aaron Jones.
So you like Aaron Jones? Okay.
I like Aaron Jones. We could go Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers.
I think you take
Andrews
Jones
or McBride.
Or Andrews, yeah.
All right, I'll let you have this one. We can have Mark Andrews. Very good. Mark Andrews is now
Andrews.
on this fake team that doesn't exist.
This team's winning a championship.
I don't know why I'm doing this exercise, but I'm telling you, I'm trying to get a better bearing about me. All right, so now we come back around in the 6th round. They're telling me
I'll do this next segment.
We should take
cancel whatever our next segment was.
Corbin Burnes.
Yeah.
All right, we're not going to keep going. We got to take a break. This is what I got lost in. I need to do more. I just realized I'm so. There were definitely players that popped up, and I was like, I didn't realize that was the team he was. We should do that exercise this week, where you say, what team does this guy play for now? You should prepare that exercise for sometime this week. Corbin Burnes scheduled to join us next. He's got an amazing event coming up on Labor Day. He'll tell us about that. We'll just talk about his season in Baltimore and, his just the pleasant conversation he had with the home plate umpire last evening. We'll do all that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimore-golfacademy.com.
Frederick Keys baseball is back. With 30 more home games beginning on July 2nd, the Keys are excited to welcome you back to Nemeo Field at Harry Grove Stadium. We want to see you there. Countless promotions will be on display every game, with it ranging from Tap House Tuesdays to Firework Fridays and everything in between. For more information or to buy tickets, call 301-815-9939 or visit frederickkeys.com today.
We've all experienced it before. The fantasy football draft from hell. Your buddy says you can do it at his house, but he never asks his wife. She's screaming at him the whole time and forces you guys to sit outside in the unforgiving heat. Then everyone brings the exact same store-bought 7-layer dip, and somehow you accidentally draft someone named LeVar Jackson because your brain can't function in these circumstances. Don't cop out and just move your draft online this year. Let Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel handle everything for you. Book your draft party, complete with your choice of all-you-can-eat entrees, drinks, and custom draft kits for the whole league, plus a custom trophy for your champion and a $75 gift card for the commish. Visit PressBoxOnline.com/social. That's PressBoxOnline.com/social, and never have a fantasy draft from hell again.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Hagerstown, Maryland, a snapshot of American history that dates back centuries. Today, the roots of the city expand with another historical moment, the grand opening of Meredith Park, Hagerstown's new event stadium and home to the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Experience the energy, culture, and adventure. Plan your getaway today at America's newest and most innovative ballpark. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland. Visit Hagerstown.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
There he is, Agent 00 Chicken. Nothing can keep him from Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. Because right now, he can get a 3-piece world-famous chicken box for just $8, with a portion of each sale donated to a local charity. Plus, register to win world-famous chicken for a year. Come to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. It's a real thriller, but it's only for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Escape to Ocean City, Maryland, and discover a place that just feels lighter, where every day feels like Saturday and French fries are a food group, where flip-flops are always in fashion and seafood is always in season, where the boardwalk is bustling and the beach is right outside your door, where you can rise with the tide and feel like a kid again. Ocean City, Maryland, somewhere to smile about. Book your trip at OCOcean.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
It was the 14th round, Griffin. That's where all the quarterbacks ended up going. They all ended up going in the 14th round.
The classic 14th round run.
Yeah, I pulled Jaden Daniels, and then they all came off the board. They all came off the board. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from participating in these exercises. All right, it is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Orioles will try again tonight against the Mets. Game 2 of that 3-game set in Queens. I had thought about taking my son up, but it's just not. It ain't happening. There's just no way I could pull that off. But tonight, Dean Kramer on the mound against Jose Quintana for Game 2 of that series. And it's an afternoon game tomorrow to wrap things up before they come back to Baltimore this weekend to face the Astros. So that's what's going on. What else is going on is there's a really cool event, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with our next guest about it. Coming up on Labor Day, specifically on Labor Day, September 2nd, Corbin Burnes and his wife, Brooke, they are hosting Uncork for a Cause. It's a charity event benefiting Ronald McDonald House Charities of Maryland. They'll be joined by fellow Orioles and other special guests at the Four Seasons Hotel. It's a charity event that will celebrate great wine, food, and friends while raising money for that great cause, the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Maryland. Tickets are available. You can get them at burns.givesmart.com. Joining us now to tell us more about this, he is, of course, Orioles ace, Mr. Corbin Burnes, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Corbin, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to chat. Thanks so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. It's great to chat with you. Corbin, this is such a cool thing. Can you give me a little bit of the backstory, how you and your family got involved with the Ronald McDonald House, why it's something that you care about so much?
Yeah, so me and my wife, we've worked with the Ronald McDonald House in some capacity for the last, I think it's been 8 years now. Really, ever since I was drafted. Kind of one of the first things that me and my wife wanted to focus on was giving back to the community we were in and helping out those that needed it. So even in the minor leagues, we were doing some stuff for the Ronald McDonald House charities back at home. Had this event in Milwaukee last year. Did a lot of stuff with the Ronald McDonald House there. And then when we came to Baltimore, it was the first thing we wanted to get on the books and get lined up so we could make our mark in Baltimore and help out the families that are staying at that Ronald McDonald House, that come through that house throughout the year. Just the thought of your family member going through something and not having a place to stay, and those guys reaching out and making things as smoothly as possible is something that hits home close to us, and we're looking forward to this event coming up here on the 2nd.
No, it's awesome, man. When you say it hits close, was there a story or something personal in your life, or was it just you got connected with them and loved what they did?
Yeah, we just got connected from an early age. My wife's mother was a nurse for a long time, so I knew a lot of people in that space, a lot of nurses and a lot of stuff in hospitals, and so obviously hit close to home, and us having 3 kids now and knowing what a mother or father would go through if they had a kid going through something and some treatments and needed a place, and someone reached out to help them, was just something that we thought was special, and that we wanted to be a part of.
Good on you, man. That's an awesome thing. So tying it in with wine, and I think that's maybe the part that I always like. Every time I hear the guys on the broadcast talking about this event, and I hear that you have your very own 2021 California Reserve Red wine, what was how did you become a wine person? How did this happen?
Yeah, slowly over the years, I just started getting into wine a little bit.
Okay.
My dad's been in the wine space for, I guess, almost 10 years now, and so kind of enjoyed getting to taste the different kinds of wines and the varieties. And when I was approached a couple years ago to do this, I was like, it's perfect. The perfect matchup of wanting to give back and the love for wine that me and my wife have. And so when this event came about, it seemed perfect. An event to get everyone together and have good wine. There's actually some whiskey for people that aren't wine lovers.
Okay.
But get the team there, get some auction items, and raise as much money as we could. And it was a great event last year, and like I said, looking forward to it on the 2nd this year. But it's a good time to get there and try some cool wines. And they pulled a special barrel for this event, just one barrel. So it's an exclusive bottle that hopefully everyone enjoys.
That's really cool. I was going to say, you got a relatively young group of teammates. Like, I don't know how many of those guys are like wine drinkers. It feels like they'd be more likely to be more like Bud Heavy guys. It seems.
I think we have a couple that enjoy wine. I know we got staff members will be there that enjoy wine. But for those that don't, it's fun to get in and try it and see if you can put your tongue to the test and see if you can taste the different varieties. For sure.
I was actually imagining a scenario where some of the younger guys on the team are just like, take a sip, like, nah, it's not for me. It's not the way it's gonna go. Even though it's probably like the greatest wine they'll ever have in their life, and it's just not the case. Burns.givesmart.com again is the website, and we're gonna link it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio, so that you can get your tickets. And this is just an opportunity. Like, everybody's rubbing elbows. This is a chance for you to be in the presence of you, your family, and your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bunch of guys that have already committed to going. A lot of staff, like I said, that'll be there. So it's a fun event. Come out, get to know us a little bit, try some good wine, try some food, and there should be a pretty good lineup of auction items this year. Awesome. Fred Tyler, our visiting clubhouse guy, home clubhouse guy, has done a good job of getting a bunch of items together and helping me get some stuff signed. So there's going to be a bunch of items, a bunch of wine, like trips to give away. So there should be a good list of auction items there.
First of all, Corbin, good on you. Kudos to you, to your wife, for how much you care about this. It's an awesome, awesome thing, and we'll continue to spread the word about it in the coming weeks. Any chance, can we assume that probably home plate umpire John Tumpain might not make it out to Uncork for a Cause on Labor Day? Can we assume he probably won't end up being on the guest list?
You know what? If he's out there, he's welcome to come.
It's very diplomatic of you, Corbin. That's very kind of you. Break bread. We'll find a common ground at that point. And Corbin, if I could, we've so enjoyed watching you pitch this season. We see, it's funny because we saw you getting after it a little bit last night. We saw Gunnar on Sunday. Have you felt like, hey man, let's get a jolt in this team. Let's get guys fired up. We know you're obviously a very good baseball team, but we know it's also been a tough stretch. Like, is it maybe a purposeful, like, hey, let's try to light a fire a little bit. Let's get something going.
No, I think we're just kind of at the point in the season that we're 100 and almost 30 games in. So it's kind of it's a unique season right across all sports across America, that we play really long seasons. So I think we're just kind of at that point in the year where it's starting to wear on us a little bit. We know we're a really good baseball team. We know we can play better baseball, and we haven't done that really the last couple of weeks. And so we know it's in there. We know the team we can be, and it's all about kind of digging deep and getting together as a group and really putting our heads together and fighting hard and going to win baseball games. So I think we're right there. Like I said, we've got all the pieces to do it. We're a really good baseball team. Now it's just about putting it together and go out and get wins.
I know last night the issue was the strike zone. Where are you with the debate? Like, it feels like we're going towards the challenge system moving forward. Is that what you want to see happen? What's your opinion about how we handle balls and strikes moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the challenge system's coming. I'm one of the guys in the game that I love the human element of the umpires behind the plate. I respect those guys more than anyone on the field because I think it's the toughest job. The group of umpires we have in the big leagues are the best and most well suited, I think, to call balls and strikes and the umpires behind the plate. So they have a very tough job, and I think most of the time they do a great job. Obviously a lot of the stuff you see on TV with the boxes and stuff are incorrect, but these guys go in, and when they're done after the game, they're getting every strike call they either made or they missed, and so they're learning from it as well, just as we're on the mound learning from the mistakes that we're making. So, I'm in the court of those guys do a great job, and I think that they should continue to call balls and strikes and have that human element. So I'm a proponent of the challenge system because that still leaves it in their hands and doesn't go full robot.
Is it one, the idea of it being 2 per game, is that enough with challenges?
I don't think you want it to be something where you have so many that every ball and strike call is being challenged. And, the game slows down a little bit extra than it needs to be. I think what we want to see as a player group, and probably the fans too, is that big missed strike call or big missed, obviously play at the plate or something has now been fixed with this replay system, but you don't want a ball or strike call in the late innings of a game determining the outcome of a game. So I think that's where that kind of challenge system has come from. And so I think when it does come about in the next couple of years, you'll see most of those challenges being used in the later innings.
He is Corbin Burnes. Again, Uncork for a Cause coming up on Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd. Burnes.givesmart.com in order to get your tickets. Corbin, what has this season in Baltimore meant to you? I think now that we're deep into it and you've been able to get to know these guys, it's such a unique thing to come here at this point in your career. What has this season meant to you and your family?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really fun. Coming from Milwaukee to here, it was a similar, young group over there to an even younger group here. And this group of guys, they were really close. Obviously, a lot of them came up together. They were all drafted together, played in the big leagues together. So it was a very close-knit group of guys, and they were very welcoming to me and my family when we came in, and accepted me as one of theirs. And it's been a fun year. This is a great group of guys, full of energy. They all have the same goal each day to go out and win a baseball game. So it's been fun to be a part of. Obviously, we're still going through it, but hopefully it leads to a long postseason run, and we'll see what happens in October.
Do you have a feel like for that? Like, it's so weird because not every team that wins the World Series is the team that's like playing the best baseball at a certain date. Do you have a feel for what it takes? Like, what are the things that need to transition the most in order for a good team to be a championship team?
Yeah, I mean, I played on some really good teams in Milwaukee. I've been in the postseason 5 different times, and each one of those teams was different. It's like you say, it's all about who kind of gets hot at the end of the season and takes that run. But obviously, if you're a better team and you get hot, it makes it that much easier for you to go deep into the season. But this is a really good baseball team. We've shown that. They showed that last year with 100 wins. We're not on pace to quite get that many wins this year, but I think we're a team that, I think you could put up there with anyone else in the league, that we can go out there and when we play the right baseball and play how we know how to play, I think we can beat anyone. So it's just about getting things together and, like I say, get hot at the right time and see how long it can carry us.
Can I ask you about there's two things that have come up recently, one being this potential rule that a starter would have to pitch 6 innings to try to emphasize starting pitching. Not something that's likely going to impact you very often in your life, but I'm sure you heard about it. What do you make of the thought process of trying to continue to re-emphasize starting pitching around Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see starting pitching get back to what it was 15, 20 years ago, where guys were consistently going in the 6th and 7th inning. You see a lot of the openers now, and a lot of guys getting short starts, and I think that's due to a lot of teams just developmentally not having to do that, right? With all this analytics and stuff nowadays, it's 2 times through the order, and you stack your bullpen, and you get to the 9th inning. So, I would obviously love to see it. Obviously, a lot of the rules that I saw of forcing a guy to throw 6 innings, immediately to me brings injury concerns in. We've got enough injuries in the game as it is, and especially with starting pitching. So I think you start forcing guys to get to pitch counts or inning marks, whatever it is, that makes them feel uncomfortable. I think we're going to get an even bigger spike in injuries. So I think that's where my hesitation is. But if there's a way to safely do it to get starting pitchers to go deeper into games, then I'm all for it.
Speaking of innings and safety and things like that, right? Like it seems like that's been the topic. I really want to know, how are you so immune? How are you the one guy in all of baseball that's been able to avoid all of this? And do we maybe not talk about it so we don't risk messing with that somehow?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm immune. I think there's a point of knowing kind of how your body moves, how your body recovers, kind of knowing what it takes every 5 or 6 days to get you feeling right to get on the mound. I've been fortunate enough to have very few injuries in my career. Whether that's mechanically how I throw or my routine of how I recover. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not going to change what I'm doing. So hopefully it continues to give me good health and can for the rest of my career.
Do you feel like if they did, I think one of the thoughts of the 6 inning rule is maybe guys don't just come out firing quite as much. Do you feel like that could be a benefit to pitchers if they put that into place?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the reason why you see a lot of guys getting hurt is the max effort for long periods of time. But there's a reason why they're doing that. Their stuff is better that way.
Right.
So if they're an 80, 85% kind of guy, effort level, maybe they're not near as good. Maybe they have a tough time staying in the league. So, it's tough to tell a guy he can't go out and throw max effort if it then, doesn't keep him in the big leagues. So it's tough to try to tell a guy how to throw or where to throw it or whatever it may be. When that's what they've done to get to the big leagues, that's what they've done to stay in the big leagues. And, that you have to imagine that's what the guys are going to continue to do. If it means keeping their job and staying in the big leagues.
We have heard all of the position players, right? Like the Shohei Ohtani, and I get he's not just a position player, but Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, they've been openly campaigning, hey, I want to participate in the Olympics. I want to do that in 2028 in L.A. I wonder, like, you would be a guy that would be very much at, like, the height of this conversation, but adding innings seems like that would be a nightmare scenario. Where would you be with the possibility, like, if this was something that was real, that Major League Baseball players would be allowed to participate in the 2028 Olympics? Would you be up for it? Would the season need to be shorter to make up for the innings? What would the thought process be?
Yeah, I think it would be really cool, especially with the Olympics coming to LA, coming stateside, to have, basically your best in the country showing out to try to win a gold medal. I think would be really cool. Have the opportunity to wear USA across your chest would be really cool. But like you say, logistically, I don't know how it would work. Obviously, you hear, doing it at the All-Star break, not having an All-Star game that year, and making the All-Star break, 10 days versus the typical 4 days. I don't know what the logistics of it would be. And then, like you say, it brings in the extra innings you would throw without a break in the middle of the season. How would teams, view that? So, obviously, the Olympics isn't until 2028, so we've got a couple years to figure it out if that's something that we want to do. But yeah, I definitely think there's some logistical hurdles that you got to get over before you commit to anything.
I mean, it would be awesome. Like, it would be so cool for baseball fans to have that scenario play out. But I get it, right? Like, you guys have to really think about the impact that has on your career trying to do that. All right, so I two ones really quick, and I really appreciate the time, Corbin. One, you mentioned the kids earlier. How is everything? How's mom? How's everybody? Like, the idea of twins to me, I got two boys, they're 9 and 7, and that's enough of a nightmare for me. The idea of twins just seems overwhelming. How's everything going?
Everything's good. Everyone's good. Twins are 7.5 weeks old now, so it's going quick. Big brother's doing a great job of adjusting to it.
That's cool.
Mom's doing great. Fully recovered now, and she's got her hands full. She's back home, so she's taking care of 3. With some help, but she did amazing. The girls have been great. Big brother's been doing awesome. So nothing but good things going on there.
I believe the word we're looking for is hero in that situation. Is what it sounds like. And then, how are you? There's been so few of them in your life. Like, how do you handle when a start doesn't go your way? Do you obsess over it? Or are you like, oh my god? Or are you okay? I can throw it away. Those things happen. It's part of baseball. I don't even think about it a couple of days later.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's obviously you don't ever want to happen.
Right.
But it seemed to happen once or twice in the season, just to, pretty much everyone. So, obviously, it's about how you respond. Having done this for 5 or 6 years now, and I know that at some point it's going to happen. And you just have to go about your business and go about your routine as you normally would. Knowing that, hey, sometimes things don't go your way. Teams are really hot. Teams don't miss pitches, don't miss the mistakes, and that's kind of what happened. So business has been pretty much usual through the last couple of days of just getting the body right, going out there putting the work in. I've been pretty proud of how consistent I've been throughout the season this year, up into this last one. So there's no reason for me to think that all of a sudden it's just going to go downhill.
Do you like remember? Have there been that few that you can remember, like every bad start that you've had in the last 5 years?
I don't.
Okay.
I really don't. I couldn't tell you the last bad one I had.
That's probably what it takes. Just being able to push it completely out of mind, right? Like that's the way that it goes.
That's just part of baseball.
And you're not gonna throw away the bobblehead because the start went poorly or anything like that. Like you'll still hold on to that one.
Yeah, no, I got quite a few of them now, so I'll just add it to the collection.
Very cool. Corbin Burnes, seriously, really appreciate you and your wife and your family taking up the cause and doing this. Uncork for a Cause, Monday, September 2nd, benefiting Ronald McDonald House Charities in Maryland. Go to burns.givesmart.com. A great night celebrating with great wine, including that 2021 California Reserve that is Corbin's very own, just one barrel, and that will be the only place where it will be available. Awesome thing that you're doing. Corbin Burnes, thank you for spending the time with us. I've really enjoyed it. I would be remiss to say, if we sell this thing out, can it maybe improve like a 2% chance of keeping you around moving forward? Is there any chance of that?
We'll see what happens. We still got a lot.
I understand it. Corbin, thank you for taking the time for us, man. Really enjoyed this conversation.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Corbin Burnes, Orioles ace, with us here on GCR. Again, great stuff. And support that event. That's a great thing that he's doing, and a really cool opportunity for you to get out on Labor Day and support a wonderful charity. If you haven't seen the Ronald McDonald House, it's I do a lot of work with Helping Up Mission. It's obviously right there. It's right around the corner, right? So I'm there all the time, and it's a very, very special place. So good on Corbin Burnes for doing that, and thank him for taking the time for us this morning. All right, let's switch gears. I keep telling you about how we can, your fantasy draft. You are probably stressed out about enough things right now. You're stressed out about the Orioles losing a game last night. You're stressed out about the kids going back to school. You're stressed out about, you're trying to plan a trip to go to Tampa Bay to see the Ravens, whatever it is. We want to take some of that stress away from you. Joining us now, one of my friends from Live Casino and Hotel. This man is going to tell you how you can take all of the stress off of your plate. He's Rayfield Russell, and he's with us this morning on GCR. Rayfield, what's up, brother? How are you?
Good morning, you all. How are you all?
Everything is good, man. It's good to see you. Appreciate you hopping on with us. I love hanging out with you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, dude. I always enjoy being down there, right? Like, it's one of my favorite places. We've done so many cool events over the years down there, and just the interaction is awesome. This, to me, as I keep saying, I don't know how – every time I try to organize a fantasy draft with my friends, it goes one of two ways, right? It's an utter disaster. Somebody said, oh, I'll host it, and then I get there, and, it's 6 billion degrees. They're like, oh, we're going to sit outside and do the draft.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody brought the same awful, plain potato chips. It's wretched. Or they just bag out and they say, we'll go ahead and we'll do it online because nobody can organize it. What you guys are doing at Sports and Social and Live Casino and Hotel to try to take the stress away from planning a fantasy draft is to me massive. How do you explain what the experience would be like if you book your fantasy draft through Live Casino and Hotel?
Absolutely. Number one, we want to take care of the host, right? The guy that puts the draft together, make sure that everyone agrees on the draft day and things like that. So every host who books a draft at Sports and Social will receive a $75 Sports and Social gift card just for them. They can use that to either cover their meal and their draft for the day, or they could come back at a different time for that. But we have great packages. You mentioned the plain potato chips. So we have several all-you-can-eat packages with our delicious food over here at Sports and Social. One starting at $70 per person, and another starting at $85 per person. Great drink options, great food options in each package. Something just to help you get through that draft. And while someone's stealing your pick in the second or third round, you can munch on a buffalo wing and just enjoy yourself. So I think that's where the food options really come in and they take over. And then just each person in the group, we're not only going to take care of the host of the draft, but we're going to take care of each person in the group. So each person is going to receive a Raleigh towel, a foam finger, Sports and Social t-shirt just to commemorate the event. Just to make sure that, you have a few props here if you're going to just in between rounds just to talk about with your friends. And then that just leads us to the most important part of fantasy, which is your draft board. So each fantasy draft comes with a custom draft board from Sports and Social. You can take it home. You can look at it. I have this thing where after I draft, I just stare at my roster.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
We just did a fake draft this morning, and I'm staring at the roster. It's not even my real team, and I'm just, looking at it and saying, oh, I love these guys.
I love them. Absolutely. Even some of the ones that let us down last year.
Yeah.
I'm, just a little bit of hope. But, I think that's where the draft board comes in, and it's fantastic. And then just to top everything off, at the end of the season, bring your entire group back to Sports and Social. The winner of everyone who books a fantasy draft, the winner of each team, will receive a Sports and Social trophy for fantasy drafts, custom and provided by Sports and Social free of charge.
That's awesome, man. And I want to make this clear, too, because as I talk about all the time, I love hanging out inside Sports and Social just to watch games and to watch events. Could you book your draft during – Labor Day weekend is my favorite weekend of the year, Rayfield. Baseball, the Orioles are good. College football is back. I am a nerdy tennis fan, and the U.S. Open is one of my favorite things all year. Like, that weekend to me is holy.
And then the next week you have football coming.
Yeah, which is good. But if I book my can I book my draft during Labor Day weekend, hang out in Sports and Social, do the draft, and also have all of those things on that giant 100-foot media wall behind me?
Absolutely. The draw of Sports and Social, you just hit the nail on the head. It's that 100-foot media wall. So during that weekend, you make your reservations in advance via Sports and Social's website. We have our fantasy football right there on the website. You click that, you can make your reservation, and then you and your team can watch all of the games from U.S. Open to college football to the Orioles as you draft inside of Sports and Social with the smoke lights. Just a great atmosphere.
No, I love it. And every big event, I feel it. And that's a great weekend for it. So we've created a launch page or a landing page at pressboxonline.com/social that people can go to in order to get there. But is there a phone number or an email address or something? People are like, still have questions. Hey, I think this is what I want to do. Is there something that we can give them? Maybe they could reach out directly to talk to somebody?
Absolutely. So we have the GM of the restaurant. His name is Leonard. He is handling reservations for this. So as soon as you go on that landing page, there's a giant button that says book now. Takes you directly to Leonard's email. You put your information in there and he'll get directly to you.
Awesome. And you can get everything coordinated so you can make sure you take care of it. Because I know everybody's got questions like, well, what if only some of us can make it out? The whole group can't make it out. Just do that. Just go to that page, pressboxonline.com/social, click on that link. And as Rayfield pointed out, that is the email for Leonard. And ask those questions. And he'll work with you in order to get it scheduled, in order to make it the best possible event that you can make it. Well, and by the way, you're also still just steps away from like the FanDuel Sportsbook. So while you're there, you can make a whole event out of it and go to town with it. Do you have draft advice? If you had the number one pick, who you taking this year, Rayfield?
If I had the number one pick, I'm going to go with Christian.
Yeah.
Good old CMC. He hasn't let us down yet. My worry this year is Justin Jefferson, man.
Well, they don't have a quarterback.
He doesn't have a quarterback or a wide receiver too, so I'm just not sure. They're going to double him the entire game, bring a safety over the top. So, I'm still putting a few things together.
We have a Vikings fan in our league, so I'm praying that he's just so blinded by his Vikings fandom that he goes ahead and takes Justin Jefferson off the board very quickly, so the rest of us don't have to think about it for a little while.
Hey, you guys should give him the first pick,
right? Hey, buddy, go ahead. It's yours. No, we don't want it. You go ahead and have it and put it.
I love a good homer in the league,
right? The problem with that too, of course, is that in Baltimore, that means that you can't get Lamar Jackson because someone's going to take him in the second round.
Or Derrick Henry.
It's gonna happen. See, I'm okay with Derrick Henry in the second round. I can do that.
Absolutely.
There's so many good quarterbacks. Griffin and I were just playing this game earlier. There's so many good quarterbacks that I don't think I can take Lamar in the second round because there's just so many options at quarterback. But I think I could
get Caleb in the fourth.
I think I could keep going, man. I could.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
later.
I could take. Jaden Daniels in the 10th round and feel like I got a shot. I could even go like Matt Stafford late in the draft and feel like I got a guy at least, right?
Absolutely.
I'm in a weird place with that. All right, pressboxonline.com/social. That's the website. Go there, click the link, and again, all your choice of all you can eat entrees, drinks, custom draft kit, the trophy, gift card for the commissioner, the whole thing, everything taken care of. You don't have to stress about it. You can just let the league know that's what we're doing. We'll see you at Sports and Social. Rayfield, anything else that we can plug for you that you guys have going on?
You can visit us for happy hour Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Sports and Social. Especially with football season coming up. Those Thursday games, I know they start right around 7, 8 p.m. So it's the perfect segue into those Thursday games. And then for the people who, maybe looking to book a draft, but, you have some people who are out of town. One of my best friends out of town. Let's throw them on the iPad. We'll get you a stand. We'll also give you some swag to ship out to them as well.
Awesome.
So if you're out of town, don't feel left out. We'll make sure we take care of you here at Sports and Social.
Very cool. Rayfield Russell, love it, man. Appreciate you hopping on this morning. I have no doubt that we're going to be seeing you very soon down there. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, Glenn. Thank you, Griffin. Thank you so much, man.
It's Rayfield Russell from Live Casino and Hotel. Appreciate him taking the time for us this morning. Corbin Burnes was his warm-up act. If I were Rayfield Russell, I'd be telling somebody that today. You know who was my opener today? You know who went on? My opening act was Corbin Burnes. That's what I would be telling people today if I were Rayfield Russell. Appreciate him doing that. And yes, so make sure you take advantage of that. PressBoxOnline.com/social is the website. Anything? I just a couple of thoughts about the things that we heard from Corbin Burnes. It's interesting to me because he is like the antithesis to pitching injuries. Like, we're all convinced that like that's just does he know something that like if everybody else would just do it that way, then they wouldn't get injured, or is it just nothing more than luck? And he kind of leans towards the idea that it's in the way that he handles his business. Well, if I were a major league team, I'd be maybe paying him extra money to teach everyone else how do you handle your business? How do you go about understanding your body and warming up and pitching between games? The Olympics thing, it's really, because you could hear it in how he responded, right? The first thing is, yeah, that sounds great. And then immediately into, but what does that look like? I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, you make the Olympics baseball a 1-week tournament. And I don't know exactly what that, I guess that's like a 4-game round robin, and then 8 teams make the knockout round. Like, you'd probably have to do.
So you'd have like a group of 16, like 16.
16.
Top 8.
So you'd have 4 groups of 4, and the top 2 teams in each group go to the knockout. So then you do quarterfinal, semifinal, and you could do all that in 1 week.
Yeah.
Like, everybody could play every day. You could do all that in 1 week. You'd still have to make it to the point. You'd still have to stretch the All-Star break out and make it 10 days.
Yeah.
But the pitching thing is the thing I keep coming back to. It's more innings.
Is there like, I mean, I'm just like trying to throw out anything. Like, could they do a special expanded roster for like this 2 or 3 week stretch in July, so that way you can use
maybe for the entirety of that season.
Yeah,
right?
the entirety of the season, the entire month.
Maybe for
least.
that, for 2028, you just say, hey, the roster is going to go up to 28 for its 2 extra pitchers to compensate for the World Series. Or maybe it's like you get an extra roster spot based on how many pitchers you have that are selected for, because it's not just the U.S. team.
Yeah, and it's, yeah. So, like,
I don't know. To his point, you do have time to work on these things. If you prioritize, we want to do it, you start working on it now. Here's what it would look like in order for us to be able to do it. And it might very well be that, like, essentially you just have to tell the Olympic teams you can have a giant roster because you can't pitch anyone more than twice during the course of the Olympics. Like, we're going to have big Olympic rosters because there's going to be heavy on pitching, because the rule's going to be like a certain number of innings, right? Like, whatever that is for a reliever, maybe it's you can make 3
appearances.
Yeah, and for a starter, it's maybe just 1.
Yeah, just 1. I guess you could
2 at most. I guess if you
have to say
maybe you make that a number of innings. Like, for a starter, they can't pitch more than 7 innings. So, like, if somebody threw 3 innings in their first start on Monday, that, like, if you wanted to throw them in the gold medal game, they would be available for 4 innings, something like that.
So then it's like I'm just trying to imagine. So like so Felix is Dominican, right?
Yes.
Or
correct? Yeah,
I think
he's
so.
Dominican, I believe.
So like imagine. So do they try to like not even use him during the group stage?
Well, I think it would depend on.
They can fire him the 9th inning, quarters, semis.
Do you need to get in, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I would really have to think that through. And it might be maybe for a reliever it's 4 innings, right? Like, because that's not 4 innings for a reliever probably isn't going to be the make or break about whether or not their arm falls off. But I would think that that's what this would look like, is something along those lines. That you could say, hey, we're adding 7 innings for a starter. That's not overwhelming. Now, what does the roster size? You got to work with whoever. I don't even know what the governing body is for World Baseball.
Is it MLB? Because they put on the World Baseball.
But that's their own event. That's their internal thing. That's not.
Got it.
You know, there are like world championships and things like that. I don't know who governs the Olympics, but you got to work with them about how this looks and how many pitchers you would need in order to not. You got to do that math out loud, right? Like, okay, so the most you would play is 7 games. 7 games times 9 innings. You would almost certainly put in the extra inning rule for those games.
Do they play 7 inning games in the group stage? Or
I mean, I would hate that, but yeah, maybe that's a thought. right? Like you would hate that. You want it to be baseball. Like you'd want to be playing baseball if you're going to do this. So, but let's just say 63 innings. How many pitchers, if you put a 7-inning limit, like how many pitchers do you need to cut through 63 innings? I think it can be done. I think it's possible that it can be done. I don't know.
Hopefully, they do have to start working on it now.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely have to. And they need to get feedback from the players and the teams. They need to be, if it's possible, and I have always leaned towards it's not going to happen, that they're just going to decide it's too much, it's too difficult. But if they've gotten the message, and if the players continue to push for it,
I mean, they need Ohtani and
it's
Judge and Harper.
But that's as I said to Corbin Burnes, like it's much easier for those guys to push for it.
Yeah,
Ohtani would be the one unique one because
he's going to do everything.
He'd probably be pitching too. But it's much easier for Harper and for Judge to say, yeah, hell, because what does it mean to them?
Mm-hmm.
They're fine. It's the pitchers. Like you could hear Corbin Burnes is like, yeah, that would be really cool. But it's.
And he's clearly a guy that, is clearly thinking about health at all times.
Obviously. It's how he's been able to stay, relatively injury-free throughout the course of his career. So I'd like to do it, but I need the roadmap for what it looks like, and there's got to be serious concessions made. The other thing, too, is that, like, I don't know what time of year. Do we know the dates for the Los Angeles Olympics? My God,
somebody does, right?
Imagine it's July in Southern California. Yeah. Holy hell, it's going to be hot. Oh, my God, it's going to be hot. Remember the Olympics were in Australia and they played them in, like, October? Because it's just not like the...
Oh, it was like the World Cup with Qatar.
Qatar, right, yeah, being in November.
They have it listed as July 14th through July 30th.
So you would almost have to have them the first week if you're going to do it around the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go to the second week, now that's a long time to go before getting to the All-Star break. So you'd essentially have to do it the first week. It feels like when they do all the teams, they need to bump a team sport back to the second week somehow. Like maybe for that Olympics, bump rugby back.
Somehow have I guess they did have, I said NBA, the basketball.
Well, the basketball spread out. Like basketball and soccer go the full 2 weeks in order to give days off in there. So they go the full 2 weeks.
Maybe bump swimming back just so that you can.
But the swimming, they're already bumping back for it because I think of the venue, because they're going to do swimming in the stadium.
Oh, they have to build it.
I don't. It's the first Olympics ever where swimming is going to be the second week instead of the first week, and I don't know if that's like track's going to be the first week and swimming's going to be the second week. Maybe because they're using the same stadium for the opening ceremony. So I don't remember all the details of that, but they're definitely swimming is the second week for the first time at those Olympics. I don't know.
Then I'd be okay. I mean, just for me personally, I would like that. That way I could focus on the swimming the second week, have baseball the first week. Assuming we have.
I mean, I have other
real
things.
Baseball.
The problem for me is that's going to be the tennis week, and like I'm going to be watching the tennis. Like that's just the way it's going to go.
Watch baseball.
But yeah, I mean, like it would, dude. Like, some of these things really are difficult. I get distracted by them. The rugby was so good that I was like distracted and watching the rugby at times. I'd be down. I'd love the idea. I love the idea of doing this. Is a 1 week baseball tournament really the best way to go about crowning a world champion? No, obviously not. But if you understand all of that notion, it would almost make qualifying a little bit more important, and you're certainly not going to be sending the major leaguers to Olympic qualifying. That would be more of what that amateur team or that...
And they'd have to do that in
the
February.
offseason. They'd have to do that maybe leading into the spring training. But qualifying would become important if you're going to limit it to 16 teams making the Olympics. I think it works for me. Again, if you're only saying pitchers can throw as much as 7 innings and you just got to have big rosters of pitchers... I don't know. That doesn't seem crazy to me.
All right, so now what do we map out our ultimate 7-man rotation?
It would be the U.S. 7-man rotation.
I guess we also have to, it's going to be 4 years in the future. So
yeah, right. That's part of the problem.
Tough.
So Paul Skeens. Right now, who would it be? It would be Skeens.
We're saying if it was like 2024, right?
Yeah, if they were doing the 2024 Olympics.
Everyone's healthy, more or less.
Yeah, it'd be Skubal. And that part of this problem is admittedly
Zach
not
Wheeler, yeah.
Probably. It's part. Some of this is I got to know who's like. Look, man, Seth Lugo is American. I'm assuming
that's true,
right?
So like some guys might
yeah,
have.
He's from Louisiana.
But yeah, like Dean Kramer could pitch for Team Israel.
Presumably would pitch for Team Israel in this scenario, right? Like, if you're not going to make Team USA, you would probably pitch for where your family has heritage. We can't do that. I got to go to the Ravens today, so I can't sit around doing this. But I'm intrigued by it. Come back in, get a tidbit, get two bit to wrap things up for a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to the 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring locally sourced food at the Fresh Food Fest, a beer, wine, and spirits showcase, shopping, and fun for all ages. Check out the Maryland Corgi Cup, interactive kids corner, and more. It's the place to be in October. Visit maryland5star.us for tickets.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with two sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
There he is, Agent 00 Chicken. Nothing can keep him from Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. Because right now, he can get a 3-piece world-famous chicken box for just $8 with a portion of each sale donated to a local charity. Plus, register to win world-famous chicken for a year. Come to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. It's a real thriller, but it's only for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens star safety Kyle Hamilton, detailing his path from growing up the son of a basketball player to choosing football, being overlooked in the draft, and turning into a defensive unicorn as a playmaking Swiss Army knife in the NFL. Also inside, meet college football players from all of the area's D1 programs and some of the area's college soccer standouts as well. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we are winding down for a Tuesday edition of the program. Let's go ahead and get a tidbit.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, what you got for today?
Big Al has made, so obviously his 3 straight scoreless starts now, brings his total up on the season. He has now had 8. Yeah, he has 8 scoreless starts this season, which is the most in all of baseball.
I did see that.
I wanted to set the parameter so 5 to 5, at least 5 innings pitched in those. So he has one where he went like 4 2/3, I think. So he does. So he still has 7 scoreless starts. So it's tied for the most in the league. There are 8 guys that have had 6 scoreless starts with pitching at least 5 innings. We're going to see if you can name the other 7.
6 scoreless starts of pitching at least 5 innings.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, I saw it. I'm going to say Scooble.
Yeah, Scooble's on the list. He has 6.
How about Lugo?
Seth Lugo, no. He's just, I guess he lets up runs, but he just goes.
Lets up runs, but he just goes. Okay.
How else would you say it?
All right. How about I'm just gonna guess good pitchers. Is all I'm gonna do. Sale.
Not Sale, surprisingly.
Okay.
Sale has. I thought I saw him up there. I guess he's got less than 5 apparently.
Try Wheeler.
Yes, Zach Wheeler has 6.
How about Blanco?
Not Ronel Blanco.
How about Skeens?
Not Skeens.
He's not
Yeah. Skeens.
Webb.
No, sorry. Logan Webb is just outside.
Okay.
Yeah, 5.
Imanaga.
Not Shota. Or Mike.
Valdez.
Not Fromber. He might be out there by the end of the season, though.
Oh, yeah, that's right. God damn, man. Hunter Green.
Yes, Hunter Green. He is tied with Albert Suarez. There's one other guy with 7. Hunter Green, Albert Suarez. One other has 7 scoreless starts.
Logan Gilbert.
Not Logan Gilbert, but he does have 6. You're on the right track, though.
I'm on the right track.
You're on the right. You're
George Kirby.
Not George Kirby.
Brian Wu.
Not Brian Wu.
Is it a Mariner?
It is a Mariner. Wu has 5. Kirby's been a little more shaky this year. He's still good, but
has he really?
Yeah.
I didn't
he's
notice that.
already like 3.8 or something, I think. But
okay. Well, so if it's not Logan Gilbert, it's not Kirby. It's Miller.
Yes, Bryce Miller. 7 scoreless starts for Miller, Suarez, and Hunter Green. 3 best pitchers in baseball this year.
Yeah, right. There you go. Definitively, that's who they are.
Still 2 more that have 6.
Oh, God damn it, Griffin.
Both National Leaguers.
Do we have time for this? Can we just call it?
They're a little tougher.
Get him to me.
We have a Brave and a Milwaukee Brewer.
Brave and a Brewer. Brave and a Brewer. So the Brave, it's not, I guess, Sale. So then the Brave would be Freed?
Not Freed. It's the guy that kind of came out of nowhere. Started as a reliever and then started games this year kind of out of nowhere. And has been nails.
Lopez?
Yes, Ronaldo Lopez. 6 scoreless starts for the Atlanta
Braves.
Braves.
He started as a reliever. I don't know.
Well, he was with the White Sox, and I forget where he was. Where else? And then it's a Milwaukee Brewer.
Brewer. It is
not their frontline guy.
It's not their front. So it's not Peralta.
Not Peralta.
It's Savale.
Not Savale. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm trying to think of because there's really no hints. I can't give. I think. Was he always a Brewer?
Myers?
Not Tobias Myers. It's a good guess.
I don't know that I can tell you who else is in the rotation.
Yeah.
Just tell me.
He was a Padre, apparently.
I gotta go.
Colin Ray.
Colin Ray. All right.
Yes, Colin Ray.
All right.
So, yeah, that is your list of guys with 6 scoreless starts this season. Headed by Albert Suarez.
Probably start paying a little more attention. Didn't know the Colin Ray. All right, very good. Let's get tubular.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Orioles Mets 7:10 on Masson. Dean Kramer, Jose Quintana. Masson 2 is Rockies Nationals at 6:45. TBS Phillies Braves at 7:20. MLB Network Mariners Dodgers at 10:10. MLB TV's free game is Twins Padres at 9:40. ESPN Plus Rays Athletics at 9:40. ESPN has Little League World Series coverage throughout the day, and then tonight at 10, The Ultimate Fighter. By the way, bummer last night. Francis TFO was really, God, he was right in it in the first set. They got to a tie break, and then.
What did they say about Sinner? I saw like the tour, the ATP tour sent out like some thing about Sinner.
What about it?
I don't know. It was like some tweet.
But what saying
Said
what?
something about like performance enhancing something.
What?
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, hold on. I had it in front of we were encouraged.
Is cleared of any wrongdoing by independent tribunal. All right. In April, Yannick Sinner was notified that he tested positive for a trace element of metabolite of the substance clostebol, less than a billionth of a gram. Following a thorough and extensive investigation, the ITIA and Yannick discovered the inadvertent contamination of clostebol came through the treatment he received from his physiotherapist. His fitness trainer purchased a product easily available over the counter in any Italian pharmacy, which he gave the Yannick's physiotherapist to care for a cut on the physio. Jesus Christ.
So he's a dirty cheat.
What's that?
He's a dirty cheat.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to take away the Cincinnati title and give it to
Francis.
Tiafoe. I don't think it's going to work that way, unfortunately. Not the case. All right. Anyway, sorry. Ultimate Fighter tonight.
Make sure we got to the bottom of it.
Yeah, really. Monumental Seattle Storm, Washington Mystics tonight at 7 in the USA Network for WWE NXT tonight at 8. Non-sports.
Not a whole lot. Of course, new episode of Hard Knocks, which everyone knows is with what team?
That would be with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
not
Chicago
the
Bears.
New York Jets.
Our guy Adam Sandler will be on Fallon tonight.
Love him. That's my guy.
And this it could be a book clubber face to face with Scott Peterson on Peacock. It's like a docuseries.
Scott Peterson. I
Scott
remember
Peterson.
that name.
So
which one was he?
His wife Lacey was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah,
She disappeared on Christmas Eve of 2002.
I do remember this.
And is Scott behind it?
I remember this story.
If anyone knows the story, I think they know. But
all
right,
I
don't want to spoil everything.
I'd be willing to. Doesn't the Untold series come back today too? Isn't that
if it does,
on Netflix?
Then I made a big mistake.
I said before, I will need reviews before I'm willing. The Florida thing was such an abomination that I will need seriously positive reviews before I'm willing to look at any of these. These this year were like the Steve McNair murder,
Connor Stallion. That's right, Connor
Stallion's one. But doesn't one of them launch today?
Hold on. Let me find out. I'm trying to read here. Is the Steve McNair one today? I didn't think that anywhere coming out today. Why can't I find a definitive release date?
According to awfulannouncing.com, the murder of Aaron McNair premieres on August 20th, which would be today.
Oh, okay. All right. My fault.
You better look into that and get that taken care of. But I need reviews. I need people telling me that it's worth watching before I'm willing to give them another chance, because the Florida thing is it's the big. I can't believe we're allowing them to make more documentaries after that debacle. All right, very good. That it?
Yes, that is it.
All right. Thanks today to Corbin Burnes. Thanks to Tyler Kepner, and thanks also to Jonathan Mayo. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the.
Oh my God! Do we do it this week? I mean, I'm kind of. It's so good. Yeah.
Oh, because they're
playing the Mets. I don't know.
That is interesting.
Maybe
for this week,
celebrating yesterday.
Maybe we retire it for this week and bring it back afterwards.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Boy, that is depressing. Anything tomorrow? It was only National Radio Day that you were willing to book for. After that, you're done.
Stuff and things. I'm sure
done your booking.
We'll get your full report from training camp.
Yeah, lot to tell you about. I might even watch a play. Who knows? Thanks everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, the Maryland 5-star. Visit Hagerstown, Washington County. Cruise Maryland, Ocean City, Easy Pass. Royal Farms, the Ed Block Courage Awards, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses, the MSAA, Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Oh, and Reed and I are on tonight, 7 to 9, over on 105.7 The Fan, where we also have nothing scheduled at the moment.
Just more training camp report.
That's what I got. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Birds. Duke sucks.